Remember this blue shirt from the Dream Genome Thesis, the first video? Remember that? See, I put it back on. I did watch because that was from all the way from October 2020, and this is April 2021. So I did wash it from that time to now. So it is washed. It's the same shirt, and I figure I got like over 1,500 views on that Dream Genome Thesis video that you need to watch if you haven't. So I'm like, maybe I'll get the same type of, what I'm saying? I get the same type of view count, what I'm saying? More subscribers if I put the motherfucker back on. It's just a basic dark blue golf tee, you know what I'm saying? But it kicked everything off. So we about to kick it off again with this new video. Mitochondria Weave, Midichlorian Eve. Again, my name is AlexWill64. You can find me on Instagram, AlexWill64 and Etherealist. All that is in the description section of this YouTube video. So, let me just say right off the bat, there is a downloadable. I try to make sure that my videos have a downloadable for you. Put this together. This is the Mitochondria Weave, Midichlorian Eve document. So you can download it. Also, I want to make sure that you see that this has how long it took me to compile this document. The document is only like 10 pages long, but this is some very depthical information. It's hyper depthical now, because depthical was something I was using to, as a synonym for deep, because y'all played that word out. You say everything is deep now, and it really ain't. I was saying depthical, but this is hyper-depthical. This is meta-depthical. Like, this is going beyond the depths right here. So in these 10 pages, you're going to get a whole lot of insight, research. There's books for you scholars out there, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's a scholar, but they don't take their scholarship beyond being a scholar. So, there's some there, and it's only 10 pages, and I like to keep it real condensed, you know what I'm saying? So this is something you can download right there in the description section of this video. So right off the bat here, this is, I put a post on this, and you'll see it throughout this document. This is a post that I put on my page not a while ago, you know what I'm saying? Or just a little while ago, maybe like a week ago, maybe. And it says, you know what I'm saying, I created it with some apps on my phone or whatever. I hope black women especially have been paying attention to my posts about or mentioning mitochondria. So if you're a black woman watching this, do not turn away from this video. Make time. Y'all are the ones that this video is targeted at. Everybody else is, you know what I'm saying, they come second. This is for black women, you know what I'm saying? Consider it a late Valentine's Day gift, you know what I'm saying? Because I ain't had nobody for Valentine's Day. I'm not sure if you had either, but consider this, we doing this out of love. Me and my fam, we putting this out here out of straight love. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to come out your pocket for this one either, you know what I mean? When you go ahead to download it. So this was the post. So for maybe like the past few months, I've been posting on mitochondria and mitochondria related activity. You know what I'm saying? And this post is saying that there's a connection. You should already know that there's a connection between mitochondria and black women. That's why if you are a black woman, you know what I'm saying, I don't know if you're the angry type, the feminist type, the real loving type. Like, there's stereotypes if you're a mammy or you're a bedwench. Like, I don't know which one you are. You're a black power sister, you know what I'm saying? You're a high priestess, like you're a priestess of Oshun, or you know what I'm saying, Yeminya or whatever, or Yemaya. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong because other people was, I don't know. Black women especially, you need to be paying attention right now. So I don't know what you're doing. Put the tarot deck away. Put the cowrie shells away. You know what I'm saying? Just things that black women, we know that black women do. You know what I'm saying? Beyond stereotypes of what black women. I grew up in a house of black women. I know what y'all do. You know what I'm saying? I know about the cocoa butter, the shea butter, you know what I'm saying, the blue grease, the curling iron. My mom did hair ever since I can remember, you know what I'm saying? She's a cosmetologist. And that's going to be important in this document. So let's get to it, man. Black women, you need to be, I'm gonna be saying that throughout to reel you in. Black women, you need to be paying attention. So first things first, and we're like I said, I'm just gonna read through it. You know what I'm saying? Some people would like to just download the downloadable or the document or whatever. We're going to go through it. This is the purpose of making this video. And heads up, this shit might be long because I don't feel like making a sequel to this video. I want it to be straight out, straight through. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you're a person that only could pay attention for like 20 minutes or 10 minutes, or you're a person that can go 4 hours, 5 hours looking at a video, but I don't think it's going to be 4 or 5 hours, but you know, we're going to get into it. So first things first here. I want to put out this word again, Sankofa. So Sankofa is something that a principle that I'm, you know, into or practicing, and not the Sankofa, because this isn't a common word, Sankofa, and it's going to be very important to this whole mitochondrial discussion, because we need to know about your microbiological origins. So when we say Sankofa, what we're talking about is not simply a cultural going back. Because if you deal with the RBG community or the RBG African community and all that stuff, Sankofa for them is going back to Africa or going back to black culture and getting, you know, back into, you know, shedding off Western society or Eurocentric culture or whatever, and going back to black, you know what I'm saying, going back to African roots or whatever. That is part of what Sankofa is, but the real truth about that is this is going beyond culture for the most part. So when we say Sankofa, as the alchemists that we are, the true alchemists that we are, the practicing alchemists that I am, we're talking about Sankofa as far as you going back to the womb. Because going back to the womb does not require you to go back to Africa. It doesn't even require you to go back to your Moorish science roots. If you know what I'm saying, if you're in America and you're watching this and you know about the Moorish stuff, it's going beyond that too. If you were in a womb before you came out into this physical dimension, this applies to you. So you can be in fucking Antarctica with this shit. Sankofa is us going back to womb. So what that means is that we study embryogenesis. We study, you know, the development of the infant in the womb, and how that relates to, you know, going back to a state where you are beyond this human state that you are right now. So do recognize your microbiological origins as a fertilized zygote in your mother's womb, and your subsequent mitosis to become a multicellular organism. What are we talking about? We're talking about you going back to the time when you were a microbe. Why is this important? Because if you're going to be studying microbiology, you need to understand that your origin is microbiological. So you were in that realm before you became a multicellular thing that you are today. So, like, for example, if you've been following on my page for, you know, the past few months or whatever, we've been really kind of dealing with Judy K. King, the author Judy K. King's work, Isis Thesis and Balls of Fire. You know what I'm saying? So her whole work deals with microbiology, the quantum realm, the quantum dimension, things of a microbial or microcosmic level. So you need to understand your microbiological origin. You were a fertilized zygote before you became a multicellular organism that you are now. So what was going on when you was unicellular, like these mitochondria were? Or these other microbes that you can, you know what I'm saying, study. These bacterias and what prokaryotes and archaea and all this stuff like that. These microscopic organisms. That's what you were before you became this 5 or 4 to 6, 7 foot creature that you are now today in your physical self. So what was going on when you was in the womb, when conception came about? What was that whole process? Who was involved? What was involved? You know what I'm saying? That's what we study in Sankofa. We have a saying like, I'm not from the earth, I'm from the birth. So that's what we're studying. So this transcends any type of cultural construct. The fact that you came out of a womb and there was an umbilical cord and there was a placenta, very importantly, you know what I'm saying, there was a placenta, this is Sankofa applies to you. So that's why I'm coming here today to do that. So we study embryogenesis, and your mitochondria played a crucial role while you were in the womb, as well as those first 6 months out of the womb. And we know that Sankofa simply means go back and get it or go back and fetch it. So this is what you're going back to get. You're going back to your birth state, or studying your birth state as a state that was more in tune with what you would call a spirit or divine, or the waters anew, or, you know, ancestor realm, or whatever you want to call that. When you were in the womb, you were closer to that state than when you came out. The very first time your mother or whoever put a physical piece of food in your mouth, like a solid piece of food, that they broke your fast, because you was in a fasting state in the womb. This is why when we're talking about fasting and ketosis and ketogenesis and keto diet, which will come up, you know, as we go throughout these videos from now on, or, you know, especially dealing with this document, you need to understand that you were in a state of ketosis. Do you understand what I'm saying? You were in that ketogenic state. So I don't know what you know about keto diet and the trendy popularity that is getting right now, but you were naturally in a ketogenic state when you were in your mother's womb. The way that you were taking in food, any type of gases, or, you know what I'm saying, whether it's carbon dioxide or oxygen or whatever, all that whole thing is what we study as Sankofa. You know what I'm saying? As dealing with that principle of Sankofa in alchemy. That's what we're getting back to. That's the whole thing of going back and get it, or going back to fetch it. So I just want to establish that before, but also letting you know that mitochondria, and we're going to explain all this shit as we go along, that the mitochondria played a very crucial role. And then if you want to get into the whole thing about viruses and microscopic crystals of that nature, you can deal with the placenta and all that. And then we can bring in the tree, and how the tree roots and the placenta roots have we call it the rhizosphere. Rhizosphere literally means the sphere or the area of the root. So that's what we're studying right now. This is what you're into. So let me just say it right off the bat. Mitochondria equals midichlorians. Period. What is a midichlorian? We're going to get into that. Hold on, my nigga. Mitochondria equals midichlorians. You could also say that there are mitochlorians, and you could say mitochondria. So what are we saying? So George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, if you know about Star Wars, for those who are greatly unfamiliar with it, Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? Niggas only know Darth Vader, or Baby Yoda, with the whole Mandalorian show on the Disney shit. You know what I'm saying? Baby Yoda, Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, Han Solo, that type of shit. Emperor Palpatine, all that. Star Wars, right? So George Lucas and company made sure midichlorians had a phonetic similarity to mitochondria. And I went over this in my series on my channel, Alchemy, the Black Side of the Force. So this is kind of like the fourth video in that video series of Alchemy, Black Side of the Force. Consider this the fourth entry. And I'm going to put it in that playlist so you can watch 1 through 3, and then this video of Alchemy, the Black Side of the Force. But we're going to go so hyper-depthical into this shit. So they made sure that this term, midichlorians, had a phonetic similarity to mitochondria. Why did they do that? Because there's people that had already figured it out before I figured it out, that, you know, they're saying midichlorians in this Star Wars story, but what they're really talking about is mitochondria. So why introduce midichlorians in 1999 in the movie Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in relation to the Force, which was established in 1977 in the movie Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope? Why would you do that? And this is important because when the Star Wars movie came out, and this is me trying to get you into Star Wars, take one. You know what I'm saying? Because this is going to be important for your understanding of obviously for mitochondria, because I was almost about to say midichlorians. So why would you start to introduce this microscopic organism known as midichlorians into this whole thing about the Force? Because you know what the Force is. If you deal with Star Wars, you know about Star Wars. The Force is simply this spiritual power or spiritual energy that surrounds all living creatures on all parts of the galaxy or all parts of the planet or whatever planet you want, because there's multiple planets in the Star Wars story. So every living creature in that story has some level of midichlorians in the cells of their body. And midichlorians is some sort of proxy or some sort of middle point between the Force and the creature that the midichlorians are taking up residence inside. Now, when the first Star Wars movie came out in 1977, your grandmom or your Generation X family members may remember, they didn't talk about midichlorians. They wasn't even dealing with microscopic creatures or microscopic life or of any sort in those movies in the 70s and in the 80s. But George Lucas and them decided, you know, the white guy with the New Balances, I might start dressing like that because my whole logic with that is, if I dress like that, will I get that type of money? Because George Lucas sold Star Wars franchise to Disney for $4 billion. I don't know if you follow, you know, finance or anything like that. He sold his shit for $4 billion. So I want that $4 billion look of, you know, the button-up shirt, you know, the straight jeans, the straight Wranglers, and the white New Balance sneakers. You know what I'm saying? Because you would think, you know, if you had all that money, you would have the dress-down suits. You have the Steve Harvey type shits. Or if you're a woman, you just like, you're looking like somebody that's about to go to the Oscars or something. You're making that type of money. It's like, nah, just keep it simple. I'm dressing like I look like I just came out of the tech room in a corporation. I smell like the servers, the main server room and shit. I smell like computers. Yeah, that computer, I smell like computer, but that's that computer money like $4 billion. I like that. We'll see about that. Because cosplay, them niggas dress up like Iron Man and Mystique and Magneto and Thor and shit like that. They dress up like motherfucking the Punisher and shit, the Domino chick that was in the Deadpool movie. They dress up like that, and I'm like, what if you bring that energy into you? Like, if you're gonna dress like a fucking Captain America, you get the Captain America energy. So I'm like, if I dress like George Lucas, I get that $1 billion energy. Don't tell nobody I told you that. But I got sidetracked. Why would you, in this movie in the 90s, when you brought back the Star Wars, why would you now introduce midichlorians as being some sort of responsible entity of you being strong in the Force? Because being strong in the Force means that you have these supernatural, quote unquote, supernatural abilities like telekinesis, telepathy. You can fly. You can see things, visions before things happen. You can touch something and know the past of that object. So we are talking about psychic phenomena. You know what I'm saying? You know you like psychic phenomena. So the Force is your ability, you know, in the Star Wars thing, is your ability to have these superpowers. You know what I mean? So why would you introduce midichlorians? Like, why would you say like these microscopic organisms have some sort of power or some sort of say or some sort of position in the Force of you being able to use the Force? Because what you need to understand is that when they brought out that whole concept of these microscopic organisms in the cells of your body, they were saying in this whole story is that the more midichlorians you have, the greater your psychic power, the greater your Force abilities, the more Force sensitive you are. So we're talking about, you know, Yoda had, like, you know, the green Yoda, the old looking green dude. He has like 20,000 midichlorians per cell in his body. And then Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker, that character, him having well over 25,000 these microscopic midichlorians per cell. So that means that made him the chosen one in that franchise. He was like the Jesus of that franchise, right? Like the Jesus Christ, like the chosen one. based on his midichlorian count. So that means he has the potential to use the force like none other, based on the count of midichlorians per cell. You know what I'm saying? Why this shit is going to be important, especially when you're connecting this shit to mitochondria. Now, when the movie came out, Star Wars Episode 1 of The Phantom Menace, a lot of people, a lot of like diehard Star Wars fans were upset about this inclusion of midichlorians to the Star Wars story. Because they're like, no, we wanted it to be like the movies from the 70s and 80s where the Force was this mystical energy, you know, like prana or chi or ki and all this shit, where it had nothing to do with science. It was all in the realm of mysticism and magic. So they think that when you add in the microscopic midichlorian concept, what you're doing is you're taking the Force out of its mysticism or out of its magic and making it too scientific. But these dummies, and a lot of these people that were upset about this were mostly Caucasoid people, but they didn't get it. You see, George Lucas was trying to be as accurate about the Force as possible. His conceptualization of the Force comes from Michael Faraday, this scientist back, you know, I think he was, what is it, the 1800s? I think he was it was in the 1800s when they discovered, quote unquote, discovered electromagnetism and his concept of lines of force that undergird or support the entire universe. So his conceptualization of the Force comes from that school of thought of electromagnetism. So this is these, you know, Caucasoid people trying to give a scientific viewpoint of this mystical energy that surrounds and penetrates and controls everything in the galaxy or in the universe. So this is where George Lucas gets this Force thing from. So with him introducing the whole midichlorian thing, this is how I know he was studying mitochondria. Midichlorian, mitochondria sounds just alike. And matter of fact, if you're going to get into Star Wars, because this is another reason I'm making this video, to get y'all black women, especially, are you still watching? Why are you being distracted by reality TV shows and all this other stuff that to be distracted by? That's a distraction. Come back to me. I got you. You need to be studying midichlorians because that's the other side of your mitochondria. See, they keep, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. All eyes on me. Don't be looking at them other niggas, my love. You look at me. Look at what I'm doing. Don't turn your head that way or this way. Here, I got you. George Lucas wanted to be accurate with the scientific research. He wanted to make sure that his concept of the Force and this magical energy was accurate. And oh, is he accurate as a motherfucker by putting midichlorians in this Star Wars story. I don't know if he studied it or he had somebody, you know, study it for him and he brought it, you know, the person brought it to George for him to put it in the story. Because he only mentions midichlorians in the 1999 movie Phantom Menace, Star Wars Phantom Menace. And then it's only kind of mentioned once more in the Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith that came out in 2005 when Emperor Palpatine is speaking with Anakin Skywalker, and he mentions that in the Darth Plagueis story. So he's just trying to be accurate in the story. I don't think the addition of midichlorians to the story of the Force in Star Wars takes away the magic or the mysticism. Because you can still have that and still be, you know, looking at it scientifically. And you'll notice that when we get to Darth Plagueis in this whole document, you know, he was a character in that story that had a very precise and accurate scientific understanding of midichlorians that you can sit here and compare it with the study of mitochondria. But how does this relate to black women? Hopefully the black women here are still paying attention to me. And if you don't like to be called black, fine. Moorish women, Nubian women, African women, African American women, dark-skinned women with the full lips and the hips and the dips and the ass, that type of woman. So let's get into it. And just before we get into mitochondria, like I said, I feel that you can combine the science with the magic and know that they're kind of like one and the same thing. It's all in how you're explaining them and what type of jargon you're using. Because even the shit that they're studying in quantum physics and physics and the Large Hadron Collider, all the CERN shit, all that shit, nigga, they are just using artificial technology to tap into different ranges of the spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum, and beyond the spectrum itself. So if you line the shit up, it matches. There's correlations between this Western science and this mysticism. So let's get into it. Mitochondria. So what is that? What is it? The microscopic endosymbiotic powerhouse of the eukaryotic cell, the battery of the cell, handles metabolic or alchemical conversion of food, water, oxygen, etc. into ATP energy in an organism in a process called metabolism in Western science. That's what they're calling it. So the mitochondria are these bacteria-like organelles in each cells of your body. Now, they're more concentrated in certain parts of your body than others. Like you'll find a lot of mitochondria in the heart and, here in the clavicle area. You'll find them there more than you'll find them anywhere else. In the spine too. But they're usually in all the cells of the body, maybe except they're not in the blood cells. But they're basically in mostly every cell of your body. So you know how you have a nucleus and an endoplasmic reticulum, and you have ribosomes and lysosomes and Golgi bodies. If you know about, microbiology, like studying the cell, well, one of these parts is this mitochondria. And they handle all your metabolic functions in your body. So, for example, the reason you're breathing right now is to give the oxygen to the mitochondria so that they can create the type of caloric heat and all the other energy to keep your body empowered. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's the powerhouse of the cell. That's the nickname for the mitochondria. And they convert all the things that you put into your body, like oxygen, food, the light that comes in. They convert that into energy your body and your cells can use for its entire operations. So it's the power plant. It's like the powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? And what we know about, the mitochondria, what has been put out now, is your mitochondria determine the birth and life duration of cells and their death via apoptosis and necrosis. So apoptosis is what's considered programmed cell death. So as you're in your mother's womb, going back to Sankofa, going back to embryogenesis or whatever, when you're in your mother's womb, you started out like I told you, as a fertilized zygote. That was your first instance of physicality here in the physical realm. Because obviously you are beyond the physical and you condense here. So your first instance, your very first entry into physicality was that fertilized zygote, which is the sperm cell of the father, egg cell of the mother, merged and joined together. That's your first access to the physical in this incarnation, right? So then you went through a process called mitosis, which is where your cells go through this division. That one zygote, fertilized zygote, it divides into 2, then to 4, then to 8, then to 16, 32, 64. I'm Alex Will 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, and so on and so forth. So that's what mitosis, and you can actually mathematically deal with that. There's a mathematical equation to that. 2 to nth power. Because 2 to 0 power is 1, meaning that the zygote did not divide yet. It's still 1. If you go 2 to the 1 power, it's 2. 2 to the second power, 4. 2 to the third power, 8. 2 to the fourth power, 16. 2 to the fifth power, 32. 2 to the sixth power, 64. Alex was 64, get it? But anyway, that mitosis will start to produce a plethora of cells. right? And then what the mitochondria do in this apoptosis activity is kill off cells that are no longer needed for the shaping and the morphology of your body. So it's just like if you, how can I put this? It's just like if you was making cookies, right? You know what I'm saying? And you had cookie dough, but then you had cookie cutters and shit, and you cut the cookies out of the dough. So obviously you're going to save the shapes like the stars and the circles and the gingerbread men and all that shit. You're going to save that. But then there's this extra dough that you know what I'm saying, you cut the original shit out of. So that extra shit is not needed. So that's where the apoptosis does, is that the mitochondria go in and shut down all those cells. You know what I'm saying? They become refuse or stuff that can be recycled within this growing body within the mother's womb. So that's what apoptosis is. And then necrosis is simply cell death. Like if you know what I'm saying, if somehow the mitochondria, for most of the people out here that, you know, watching this, or for humans in general, you're not even taking care of your mitochondria. You're not considering what they want. You're not considering what they need to make you super healthy or make you, you know, give off a whole lot of heat without, you know, destroying your inside. Like, you're not considering these mitochondria. And what we're going to learn and really get into is how these mitochondria are conscious. And let me keep reading. So mitochondria take many shapes other than rods within different types of cells, because the word bacteria, that word comes from bacterium, which is singular for bacteria. That word is based off of some Caucasoid's observation of them, and he said they were rod shaped. So bacteria or bacterium literally means rod shaped, or shaped like a rod. Because I guess whatever mitochondria he was looking at, it looked like a rod. But obviously there's, you know, studies since then that show that mitochondria take more shapes than just a rod. So that means the mitochondria can take a shape of a fucking square. You know, you can probably see that, or something like that, oval, or some sort of, you know what I mean? It could take some sort of definitive shape other than a rod. You know what I'm saying? So this is why it's like, what were the names of these bacteria before you called them bacteria? What was the name of these viruses before you gave them the term virus? What was their original name? That's something to study, isn't it? Mitochondria has a genome separate from the genome of the nuclei of the eukaryotic cells. So this is a big find with mitochondria. Your mitochondria have a whole different genetic set than your nucleus in your cells. So by that definition, or by that understanding, the mitochondria have to be some sort of entity separate from your nucleus. It has its own DNA. It has its own proteins aside from the nucleus, because we know that the nucleus in the cell is the control center, or the central point of the cell where you'll find the genetics at. You'll find the double strand DNA, the chromatin, the histones, and all that stuff in the nucleus of the DNA. And that nucleus determines the cell itself. So this is where all your proteins are pretty much going to have the coding to then be created by every other, you know, mechanism in the cell. But the mitochondria is the most different part of the cell because it has its own DNA. Interesting. It's its own thing. You know what I'm saying? In other words, it's its own being. It's its own self. Usually the mother, and this is something y'all women are probably going to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know this shit. I can feel it now. I'm sitting here recording this, and you're going to be watching this shit after I record it, and I could feel how you just go and jump for joy and be proud of the fact that usually the woman or mother, not the man and the father, passes the mitochondrial DNA down to the offspring, and perhaps it is the basis for a matrilineal societal structuring. So the fact that women like to, or some women are even to this day are vying for a matriarchal society. This is based off your mitochondria and what it does in your. See, the mitochondria is the powerhouse. It's giving the power. It's the battery. It's the power source. What we're going to see later in this document is how, you know, a lot of shit is modeled after mitochondria. But your mitochondria, you know, this is how they used to determine, or still do determine to this day, a matrilineal society. Because if you go over to Africa, you'll see that there's a lot of, it's not every society, but there's key societies over there in Africa that are still matriarchal. And it's because of this whole mitochondria thing. Because your father normally does not give you his mitochondria. Your mother gives you your mitochondria. So there's this whole thing of, you know, when the sperm hits the egg and during conception, the mitochondria of the sperm is in the tail of the sperm cell. So when that sperm cell hits the egg, the tail is known to fall off and die off. So that means that the man's mitochondria that he has doesn't make it into the egg of that woman when conception comes along and then the fertilized zygote comes along. So this is a whole study, like, you know, knowing that your mother, the mitochondria that you have in your body now is not from your father, it's from your mother. So this whole thing goes into, again, matrilineal and matriarchal societies. This is why women were, you know what I'm saying, I guess the ruling class or the ruling body in that society like that. But then you look at it from another perspective and say, well, the nucleus is the reason for, you know, the cell itself. It's the nucleus that creates damn near everything in your cell except the mitochondria. So you can, from what I'm seeing with that is that your mitochondria, and you'll see as I go along, your mitochondria is some sort of feminine entity, but your nucleus is masculine. And now this brings us into the whole mitochondrial Eve and then the Y chromosome Adam shit, which some of y'all already know about, mitochondrial Eve. So let's get into it. Oh, where I'm at. Okay, so mitochondria are also considered archaea that got engulfed into eukaryotic cells. So before we get into the whole mitochondrial Eve thing, let me just explain this theory. So the theory of endosymbiosis, and it's in this post on my Instagram. So look for this post, and I explain how this Zionist Jewish scientist named, or biologist named Lynn Margulis, she passed on maybe like a decade ago. She was the one who came up with this theory that your mitochondria were bacteria that existed on their own. They didn't exist inside no cells and no eukaryotic creatures. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about mitochondria not just in a human sense either. Just like in the Star Wars, midichlorians are in every living thing in that franchise or in that story. So just like the midichlorian is in every living thing, mitochondria in our reality, or whatever you want, our matrix, it's in every living thing. It's in the birds, the elephants, the fish, the trees. It's in every living thing. So her theory, the endosymbiosis theory, is that the mitochondria existed by themselves without no nucleus there to have any residence in. But then somehow they decided, or it was decided, that the mitochondria will start living inside of eukaryotic cells that have a nucleus. So that's her take on it. You know what I'm saying? That these mitochondria decided to say, we're going to start living in the bodies of humans, dogs, cats, animals, and trees and plants or whatever. So that's important to know. And looking at that mitochondria as a archaea, which are these very primitive, old, microscopic organisms that you find everywhere in this earth. They're considered to be the oldest living creatures that are known to this fucking planet, or this plane of existence. So she's saying that the mitochondria in you right now descend from those archaea, those old microscopic organisms. Hold on. Get some air in here, bitch. You can see this sweat boiling up on my fucking head like a Martin and shit. He said he got a fucking Tommy said he got a puddle of fucking sweat on this shit. But Okay. So that's, and I put that there because there's so much you can learn about this mitochondria. I'm really kind of like condensing this shit into the most important shit to know. But it's with it being a descendant of archaea, it's just letting you know how old the mitochondria is in comparison to how old you are. Like this bacteria called mitochondria is very old. Very important shit when we get into it later. So now we get into mitochondrial Eve. So this concept, the whole word of you saying the word mitochondrial Eve, mitochondria Eve, this concept was first established by a 1987 article in the Science magazine by Roger Lewin, headlined "The Unmasking of Mitochondrial Eve." But the idea supposedly started with the paper Rapid Evolution of Animal Mitochondrial DNA, and it gives a list of scientists. And this article, or this paper, was written in 1979. Now, this shit may be older, like I said, because mitochondria wasn't even the first name of that bacteria. It's another term known as bioblast. So bioblast was one of the names of your mitochondria, and we'll get to that in this paper. But just to let you know that that whole word of mitochondrial Eve, that comes from, a 1987 article by this Caucasoid guy. So the reason you're saying that now is because of him. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you can find better research to find out if it's older than that, please send it to me, because I would like to know, because this is something I was studying myself. And like I said, I give all this information in this document about, the paper that was written in 1979 about the rapid evolution. Very key fucking word, evolution. Very key word. And it's going to, when we get to the end of this document, we'll come back to evolution. And they were studying mitochondrial DNA and how fast it mutates in comparison to your nuclear DNA. So your nuclear DNA or your mitochondrial DNA in your body, it mutates or changes or go through shifts faster than it does in your nuclear DNA. And I know for sure that this deals with light frequency, or the electromagnetic spectrum plays a part in that mutation or change. So let's keep going. And then what you also want to, when you see this document, you'll see that this shit relates to Gila, Henrietta Lacks. So who was in, what was that movie? Was that Oprah? Who played in that movie where it was Henrietta Lacks movie? Henrietta Lacks. Because we all know about that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta be a scientist to know about the whole Henrietta Lacks, where they took these cells from this black woman. I think it was in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, or the 50s or 60s, and they found some sort of immortal DNA in her cells. Now, where did they find that at? In her mitochondria. They didn't find that in the nucleus. They found that in her mitochondrial DNA. This is very, black women, are you paying attention? My sister, are you paying attention? All the medicines, all the antibiotics, all this shit that they're in the medical field that they're coming up with was said to be traced by dealing with her cells, Henrietta Lacks cells. They never tell you about the mitochondrial component in that story, or in that whole thing with them taking her cells. And then there was the whole thing about, they didn't, like those, Caucasoid doctors didn't have permission to take her DNA or any of her biological material and copy it and clone it and do all the shit that they do with it now. They had no right to do that, but they did it. But what the important part of that is the fact that Henrietta Lacks was a black woman, and they got that shit from her mitochondria. My sister, you've been on my mind. I hope you're paying attention to this video. And then, like I said, I put in some information that's, you can read that on yourself. So, or read that on your own. And then, like I said, you can look at the article on it, the Wikipedia article, just as a reference to start. You know what I'm saying? And I put all of that in there. And then them studying, and this is another important thing about this whole thing with mitochondria. They seem to be always taking mitochondria from black or melanated women. My sister, you've been on my mind. Not only did they take mitochondria from Henrietta Lacks cells, they also took mitochondrial DNA from a Kung woman from Botswana in Africa. So the woman that they took that mitochondrial DNA from, her DNA, that mitochondrial DNA was important to these scientists as well. Notice how they keep taking this shit from the melanated black woman. Sister, you've been on my mind. So now I gave you the idea what mitochondria, and then also knowing about respiratory system. So what is not always recognized or talked about is that your whole respiratory system, you breathing right now, you're breathing, right? Your mitochondria is the end goal of you breathing. They take every gas you're breathing in and make conversions to it. And then you breathe out the end result. So knowing that you're breathing, or your respiratory apparatus of your entire body, that whole mechanism is for the mitochondria, so that they can do what they need to do in your cells to power you. You see what I'm saying? They are the conversionists. They are converters. Have you ever know a car where you needed? I remember I had a car. I forgot what model it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a car that lacked a catalytic converter. Notice them two words, catalytic converter. Just by the name of that part that I needed for my car, you can understand what it's there for. It's there to be a catalyst, because it's catalyst to convert something to something else. Your mitochondria are doing that as you sit here and watch this video. As I'm speaking to you right now, they are in a constant state of converting one element or one compound to another and giving off heat as they do it. Because this is just like a car needs to burn the gasoline in your car. You know what I'm saying? Your engine needs to burn that. It uses that catalytic converter or some sort of apparatus like that, because that's what powers your fucking vehicle. Something needs to convert the gasoline into energy and heat to power your car so you can drive that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And I've been doing all my motherfucking labs. We don't call them lectures around here. I've been doing all my labs that you see on my YouTube video in my car. You know what I'm saying? It was just to make a connection. I don't know if it really connects. You know how woke niggas do. You know, there's stuff like that. But your mitochondria is the converter and the alchemist in your body. This is very important to the alchemist. This is very important to the root worker. This is very important to Sankofa. Of going back to your embryogenetic roots within your own body. You have a root system right there when you was in your mother's womb. That placenta and that umbilical cord was your root system. That nervous system is your root system. It's all there. And your mitochondria play a pivotal role in all of that. So let's continue. So now we're going to get into midichlorians. I'm going to go more in depth and be hyper-depthical about midichlorians, which are in the Star Wars story. So midichlorians are the microscopic endosymbiotic intelligent. Now it's dealing with intelligence now. We knew that the mitochondria had its own DNA, but we didn't know it was intelligent. But it's saying that the midichlorians here are intelligent. So it's these microscopic endosymbiotic intelligent life forms of the eukaryotic cell in the Star Wars story. They either generate and or manage the spiritual force in force-sensitive organisms. Sister, I hope you paying it, Sister Soldier. I know you read G-Spot. I know you read all of Zane's books. I know you read Coldest Winter Ever. You know what I'm saying? Not all black women. I'm being I shouldn't be stereotypical. I'm my bad. I don't want you to get an infinite attitude with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to get me. I lived in a house of black women and the attitudes. Black women and their attitudes. I ain't gonna say angry black women. My mom is a black woman. My grandmom's is a black. My auntie's sister, my daughter is going to be a black woman. Y'all and y'all attitudes. Y'all have some serious. Y'all could be very nasty and very mean, and just out of pocket with y'all attitudes. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about when we talk about attitudes. Y'all be having these attitudes that it take y'all like a day or two to get out of. You know what I'm saying? Just be having just attitudinal. You know what I mean? Stanky ass. Some of y'all have the stankiest ass attitudes ever. Now that doesn't mean I don't love you, but I think y'all need to check them attitudes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be having them. But going back to what I was just saying, the midichlorians in the Star Wars thing, they either generate or manage the spiritual force in force-sensitive organisms. So it's these midichlorians that manage your energy. They manage your force power. Going back to what I said with Yoda and the green short old Master Yoda, and then also Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. They all have some level of midichlorians. Those midichlorians play a part in how much force each of these motherfuckers can use. So you go with Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. They're the same person for those who don't know. Anakin Skywalker was known to have 25,000 mitochondria per cell. You have billions and trillions of cells in your body. So multiply a billion. Let's keep it at a billion. Multiply a billion times 25,000 midichlorians per cell. And you do the math on that. So that's how many midichlorians is in his body. So he couldn't, there's no way he cannot have psychic power or have force powers. This means this nigga should be able to do any and everything. You think about Superman, you think about the Hulk, you think about Apocalypse, you know what I'm saying, from the X-Men. You think about these very powerful characters and their ability to do any superpower. Any superpower you can name. They can teleport, they can fly, they can morph into different people, shapeshift, transform. They can read minds. They can do all these, they can shoot lasers from their eyes and shit. They have all these powers in one. And what the Star Wars thing shows you is that this Anakin Skywalker, who is supposed to be the chosen one, Darth Vader, he has the highest level of midichlorians, mitochondria, in his body. He was born like that. I'm trying to get you into Star Wars, sis. Bro, shorty, fella, y'all. It's not as nerdy as you would think. I'm trying to get you into it because this is where a lot of these secrets are being stored. Now, not to say that it's not in anything else. Of course, you can deal with X-Men. You can deal with some nigga that he was in my inbox talking about he ain't going to focus on Star Wars. He going to focus on Dune because they're coming out with a new Dune movie, like they're remaking Dune or whatever. I'm like, do your thing. All I'm saying is Star Wars, they shouldn't here telling you your fucking mitochondria. They're telling you the supernatural side and the force side of your own mitochondria. And then they didn't even hide it by having a word that phonetically resembles mitochondria by calling it midichlorians. So these midichlorians are the midway point between you and that mystical, magical, electromagnetic force. So you think a lot of your sicknesses come from just you catching a disease or a virus or whatever, when it's probably just the way your mitochondria are acting in your body. The way they're converting light, the rate at which they're converting light, the rate at which they're converting the oxygen and all the gases you're breathing in, the rate at which they're converting the food and water or whatever else you're putting in your body. Because that's what I'm stumbling onto. It's your mitochondria and the way that they're behaving in your body, which probably is determining your health right now. It's your metabolics, which we study in alchemy heavily. That's what makes us alchemists. Because I just told you that the midichlorians or the mitochondria are constantly converting. They're constantly metabolizing, constantly breaking down, building up, doing chemical reactions in your body all the fucking time as we speak and watch and breathe at this moment. So what the Star Wars thing is telling you is that they are responsible for how much force you're using. So if you're talking about psychic super powers and abilities, how come you're not looking at your mitochondria? Sister, you've been on my mind. You've been on my mind. Because your mind isn't, singularized or centralized just in your brain. Your whole body is the center of your mind in different aspects of your mind. You've been on my mind, sister. Black girl, black woman, black lady, milady, Miss Ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Miss Ma'am, you need to study mitochondria. Let me replay. Miss Ma'am, you need to study mitochondria and midichlorians. Let's continue. Now, I wouldn't say that the midichlorians or the mitochondria generate. I would say that they definitely manage, or they do the alchemical conversions in you for you to have the energy. Because what is how do we gauge the energy of your mitochondria? Heat. And I've said this in previous videos that a lot of you don't understand that heat or temperature or thermodynamics is a spiritual activity. This is the missing part of your spirituality. And as I've been searching this whole occult, conscious, new age community, I ain't seen none of these niggas talking about it. So here I am to fill in that slot for you. You know what I'm saying? Sister, you've been on my mind. Miss Ma'am. So this is how, you know what I'm saying, these scientific circles, this is how they determine, what metabolic rate your mitochondria are moving at or working at. So they measure the heat give off or the heat emission from it. So this is where you get the term calories. So the whole thing about calories is how much heat you're giving off for the work of your body. Because that heat is going to power your fucking, your organism, your body, your biosystem. So as the type of alchemist that I am, we look at that. We study that activity. We study that protocol and that mechanism. This is why we're focused on revving up the metabolism and dealing with these midichlorian / mitochondria. So they definitely, I would say they would generate, I wouldn't say they generate force, because you would learn in the book I'm about to deal with later on in this document, you learn that the midichlorians, like the force itself, we're talking about the electromagnetic spectrum. We're talking about magnetic lines of force, right? That have been confirmed by science and whatever. That can exist without any living creature. So you don't need a mitochondria to do that. What the mitochondria does is convert that light or that spectra for your operation of your physical and for your body, for your existence here. So I would say that the mitochondria are managers of that. And they're intelligent. Not just conscious, they're intelligent. They have a mind of their own. So think about it. You're sitting here feeding yourself, you're putting in your mouth all these, processed carbohydrates. You eat from the fast food place like every day or whatever. You eating Chinese food, pizza, all this bullshit that you put in your mouth. How you think your mitochondria feel about that right now? You ever ask them? See, you be eating for you, but in eating for you, you're fucking your body up. So the mitochondria is like, well, nigga, we gonna fuck you up then. You ain't giving us what we need to do, what we need to do for you. So why should, you know what I'm saying? You giving us the wrong material to burn. It's just like, I think I said this before on one of my videos. If I was grilling, because this is the season for grilling, right? It's getting hot outside. You see these puddles boiling up on my forehead, on my body. If I'm going to be grilling and I'm trying to get like the most quality fucking grilled chicken or grilled ribs or whatever you're going to put on the grill this summer, am I going to use that bullshit ass generic fucking charcoal and wood shit that you get from like Walmart? Or do you want the Kingsford? Do you want the quality charcoal briquettes or whatever the fuck you call it? I want the quality shit, because that's going to burn brighter, it's going to burn hotter, and it's going to give me the great flavor I need from my fucking grilled chicken. You know what I'm saying? Or for you vegan, vegetarian niggas out there, grilled corn. You like grilled cauliflower. Vegan chicken. Vegan chicken and shit. Why call it fucking chicken, nigga? Like, it's like, be a vegan. You be a vegan, nigga. Go all the way. Stop trying to name your vegetarian products after meat. Just call it a fucking cauliflower. Grilled cauliflower. You ain't got to call it vegan chicken. You don't have to do that. It's not fucking chicken, nigga. It's cauliflower. But all the same, you want the quality material to go through that catalytic conversion into heat. I don't want the bullshit shit from Walmart. I want the Kingsford briquettes that I'm going to put, you know what I'm saying, the charcoal liquid on and put the match or whatever and get it burning. And then I might put some hickory wood, you know what I'm saying, for my barbecue artists out there, you know what I'm saying, down south and shit. Put, you know what I'm saying, the hickory wood or some sort of smoked apple wood or whatever. The same mechanism is going on in your cells right now. So you putting the bullshit in your body, and then you ain't even breathing correctly, and then you expect your mitochondria to have you at optimal health out here. Fuck no. You feeding me bullshit, and then you gonna get bullshit. Feed me great. I'm speaking for the mitochondria. Feed me the good shit, and you gonna have the good shit in your body. You gonna be good. This is why I'm on the keto thing. But let me continue. I didn't got all the way off the thing. So the more per cell, this is what Star Wars will say, the more midichlorians you have per cell, the stronger the force is within that organism. Now that's something where it's like you got to deal with nature versus nurture here, or talent versus practice. Because the thing about Anakin Skywalker, who is said to have the most midichlorians ever in that whole story, though he had the most, he wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the most skilled at the Force and using his Force abilities. Because then you got to deal with Palpatine, Plagueis, even Yoda. Like, these are people that had less midichlorians per cell than Anakin, but were disciplined. There go that word. Even Mace Windu. You know what I'm saying? Samuel L. Jackson's character in the Star Wars shit. Him. He's a very important character. You know what I'm saying? And we're probably going to do a separate video just on him and his story, Shatterpoint, which is one of the books in the whole Star Wars Legends type of thing. We're going to get into him. But these were people or characters that had less mitochondria per cell than Anakin. But they can beat Anakin's ass. They have more use of the Force than Anakin. So it's not simply that you have more mitochondria than somebody. It's the fact of how you're using that energy. Are you even in tune with your mitochondria? See, that's the thing about Anakin Skywalker. He was not in tune that much with his midichlorians. If he were, he would be the most powerful thing in existence in that story. But he wasn't. He was held back. He didn't get that knowledge that you're getting now, sweet sister. You been on my mind. Y'all, the rest of y'all too, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, this was aimed directly at black women, but, you know, everybody else can follow along as well. So here's some I underlined. When the organism or the force sensitive person learns to quiet his or her mind, the organism can hear the endosymbiont speaking to him or her. Meaning, you're talking about an intelligent life form that has its own DNA, its own proteins. And if you quiet your mind, you can hear him speaking. The reason I put that pause or that quietness in there is so that you can hear them. I hope you was being quiet with me in silence where you can hear them speaking too. Perhaps you need to practice at it. You need to do more exercises, more meditation to be able to start hearing your midichlorians or mitochondria speaking to you. And it ain't just like them speaking like how I'm speaking now. It's also through images and, through feelings and signs that you see out here in your living space or whatever out in the external world. They don't just speak to you just by talking. There's other ways of communication. What we're going to get into later is, are they communicating to you in your dreams too? Oh shit! Dream genome thesis, sister. You've been on my mind though. You have been. I love you. That's why I'm coming through, sweet Miss Ma'am. Do you have an attitude? Don't have an attitude. Be juicy. You know what I'm saying? I need all my black sisters. Y'all be juicy. That's my advice to you. Be juicy. Don't be dry. Don't be mean. Be juicy. Keep the juices flowing. You know what I'm saying? That's what you can learn from a nigga like me. They be like, okay, you a man, so what can I learn from you? Be juicy. Has a nigga ever told you to be juicy? Be juicy, my love. Be juicy. Juice. So yeah, these intelligent life forms inside of you, if you're at a certain level spiritually or a certain level in your spiritual evolution or development, they should be communicating to you in some fashion or form. They already are. Because it's a form of communication when you start coming down with all these fucking sicknesses and illnesses because your mitochondria is like, nah, we don't want to use that bullshit that you gave us to make fuel with or to use as fuel to keep you empowered and empowering your body. Nigga, give us some better fucking ingredients or better fucking material for us to burn so we can keep your ass alive and healthy. I'm just a mouthpiece for him right now. You know what I'm saying? And then, I'm just go through this shit because I think I want to get to the juicier parts of this. There go that word juicy. So the midichlorians can evolve into higher forms known as maxichlorians. So the midichlorians can go through an evolution, just like you. Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, is known, like I said, he has the highest midichlorian count in the story, and he is thought to be conceived solely by midichlorians within his mother's womb. What'd that sound like? Parentogenesis. Black y'all women love that word because it's like anything where they could remove men from the situation, they will jump on that and use it as a fucking launch pad. So how I just sat here and told you that Anakin was kind of conceived without a father. He didn't have a physical father. He was just conceived in this woman's body. When you get deeper into the Star Wars or the Star Wars story, you'll understand what was behind that or what was the reason for that. And I'll let you do your own research or read up on that. But his mother didn't have she didn't have sex with a man to bring him forth. And it was the midichlorians that were part of bringing him forth. But this goes back to the whole thing of, okay, if the mitochondria are mostly on the female side, then the nucleus is on the masculine side. But what does midichlorians and mitochondria do? They are absorbers. They are things that take in other things. They absorb light. It's just like the sex you're having with a man, like as a woman. You're taking in that man's light through the way of his sperm or his semen. That whole solar phallic thing, that shit is true. Because that's how a baby will ever have the Y chromosome. Because you have the mitochondrial Eve, and you also have the concept of the Y chromosome atom. So it's not just, oh, we just going to be stuck on Eve. Like, nah, there's the mitochondrial atom. The reason you have a Y chromosome is because of your father. So in this shit where Anakin Skywalker is born, those midichlorians had to be advanced enough to create a Y chromosome or do something along those lines for them to come out with this male child known as Anakin Skywalker within this random woman's body. Which it ain't random, but, within this woman's body. She just got pregnant one day. And if you watch the movie Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which came out in 1999, there's a scene where she talks to one of the Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn, that, there was no father. He just came through. She said she just got pregnant one day. She was pregnant with his ass, with Anakin Skywalker. But understanding that doesn't mean that there is no masculine principle involved. Understand that the light and magnetism are male and female concepts. The whole yang and yin thing, or yin and yang. So light itself is masculine. The magnetism that creates all the forms in existence is feminine. So what I can see from here is that the midichlorians or the mitochondria are the feminine side of they absorb the light. So the light coming down is a sexual act. The light coming down into them and them using that for what they need to use it for, that's a form of sexuality. That's sex. That's sexual intercourse. And then we do it on a lower level of dick and pussy. You know what I'm saying? That's the same concept. So I just want to explain that right quick. And like I said, he comes through, Anakin is born as a means to balance the force, which you'll see in the movies, the Star Wars movies. The midichlorians can induce trances in the host organism's consciousness and can override the host's psychomotor functions for control, allowing for application of superhuman senses, powers, and abilities via the force. So we just got done establishing that the mitochondria midichlorian is intelligent, has its own DNA, and can speak to you. What else can it do? It can possess you. It can take over you. It can use its or the various consciousnesses or units of consciousness in it and possess you. Miss Ma'am, I hope you've been paying attention. Where are we at? We at like a hour and 13 minutes. I hope you've been paying attention, sweetheart. I do. Use the black side of the force. I beg you. Use my knowledge. I beg you. Because I think in the first Star Wars movie, the one that came out in 1977, A New Hope, when Obi-Wan Kenobi is dealing with Luke Skywalker, I remember there was a scene where he's training Luke in the ways of the Force and how to use a lightsaber. You know what I'm saying? The sword that has the laser sword that y'all see in there. He tells Obi-Wan tells Luke that there's the Force will come through and take over your bodily functions. But it's still under your guidance, though. So it takes over your psychomotor functions, but you still, like, for example, instinct. Like, let's say if you was about to be cut, like somebody, like a ninja, this is hypothetically speaking, a ninja came out of nowhere. Like, he didn't come in front of you, he came from the back of you and tried to cut your fucking head off. The Force, or these midichlorians, would take over your body and make your body spin around and use the lightsaber or your weapon to block that sword and then kill that fucking ninja without you having to physically or consciously do that. Now, the examples of this, you watch the movies, and they came out right around the same time, so you knew they was fucking talking about the same shit. It was propaganda. Venom, that came out in 2018, and then there was a movie called Upgrade. It was the same fucking movie. It's this entity that's in this person's body, this man's body, that is speaking to him and telling him what to do, and then also controlling parts of his body without him having to consciously do it himself. And it saved him from being killed or being destroyed or being fucked up by other people. This is what your midichlorians are supposed to, your mitochondria is supposed to be doing if they're at their level to do that. I don't think they're going to be doing that while you're eating fucking cheeseburgers every fucking day or eating Chinese food all day. Or eating processed foods and fucking carbohydrates and synthetic shit all day. And this is directly for, I don't know if black women will be included in this section or this category, but this message is directly for you niggas that or for any of you that think that your diet doesn't have anything to do with your spirituality. Who fooled you in that? Who told you that bullshit? These niggas be out here telling y'all some pure D bullshit. The fuck you mean your diet doesn't have anything to do with your spirituality? You dumbass nigga. What? What dumb niggas told you that one? We talking about mitochondria, the very microbiological entity, whether you want to say that entity is not physical in its truest sense. Of course it's not. Of course these mitochondria are light frequency. They have fucking spiritual energies just like you do. And you by yourself. But you're sitting here disrespecting your mitochondria and your midichlorians by giving them bullshit to fucking convert into energy. The fuck you mean your diet doesn't have anything to do with it? Yes, it does. Y'all need to start listening to these dumb niggas on YouTube. I'm telling you, they're going to lead y'all astray. I'm trying to put you on the path of discipline, of crystallization, of alignment. Your mitochondria does not like your diet. The best diet for your mitochondria is a keto one. High fat, low carb. Or do the fasting or mix them together. Do what you got to do. But I'm telling you what they like. As me coming forth to speak on these mitochondria, these midichlorians, these intelligent life forms with their own DNA taking up residence in you, I'm here on behalf of them to say that the keto diet is the best diet that they love. That's where you're going to get the most fucking heat output or energy output when you deal with that diet. So if you in that whole school of, oh, I'ma just do this magic stuff and not worry about what I'm feeding my mitochondria, you's a dummy. See, I diet to evolve. Obviously, if I'm dieting a certain way that my mitochondria find great use for and could give me way more power because of what I'm feeding them or throwing in their furnace, because you need to understand the idea of furnace and alchemy. Athanor, furnace. Athanor, 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 your furnace. It's a very important concept in alchemy. It's a part of the metabolic or metaboly or the conversion process in alchemy. Why are you putting shoddy materials or fucked up fuel in your body? It's just like my dumbass one day, like, what was it, like a few months ago, back in 2020? I think I talked about this, like how I put diesel fuel in my fucking car by mistake. What a dumb move. But it was a teaching lesson, because at that time I wasn't on no keto shit at that time. So you're putting, by you eating that bullshit that you eating, you're putting kerosene in a car, in a regular ass car. That's what you're doing. So stop listening to. Now, I'm not somebody that's sitting here saying, oh, I'm a vegetarian, I need to be strictly vegan. I'm not on that. I'm eating to evolve. So this is you when what I'm doing, you don't have to be strictly vegetarian to do it or strictly vegan to do that. No. You can eat certain animal products and get a high fat, low carb out of that too. I'm just saying, like y'all need to stop listening to this niggas that's sitting here leading you astray from the mitochondria sitting here telling you this. The keto shit is the best shit for them. That's the best fuel source to give your mitochondria is that keto style of way of doing things, and then getting into the whole fasting ketosis itself. So, and then I have here in the document for a detailed description of the midichlorians, refer to the science of creating life section attributed to the fictional character Darth Plagueis in the book of Sith by Daniel Wallace. So let me bring that out. So in this book, and I've dealt with this book in my Alchemy, the Black Side of the Force series. So let me show it to you, because I talked about this shit extensively in those videos. So this shit right here is probably gonna look backward on your screen, but the science of creating life. So this section in the book is attributed or is fictionally written by Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis was the master of Darth Sidious, and Darth Sidious becomes the Emperor. So he's the villain. He's the big bad villain in Star Wars. So his master, Palpatine's master, Darth Plagueis, he was the fucking scientist in all this shit. He was the most thorough scientist there is in that story. He knew the Force. He knows midichlorian. So if you want a more detailed understanding and you want to really get into this science, this metaphysics of this shit, get this book. Star Wars Book of Sith. This is a very occult book. Whoever wrote this was an occultist. And then also for my black women's out there, I would definitely direct you also to, hold on, Mother Talzin, Witch Mother, Sorcerer Supreme type, Wild Power. So this is another book in this Book of Sith, Wild Power by Mother Talzin. She is the quintessential Sorceress Supreme. Y'all, I know you a black woman and you into magic, you into spirituality. I know that ass watched the third season of American Horror Story, Coven. That's the only one I ever watched, because each season of American Horror Story they bring in a new storyline. So the only one I watched was obviously Coven, the one with where what's her name, Angela Bassett is Marie Laveau in that story, or in that season of American Horror Story. So if you want to get in, if you still ain't convinced about Star Wars, you still think it's some white boy geeky shit, this is what's going to bring you in. Mother Talzin, she's a witch. She's a witch mother. She's the leader of the Night Sisters. What other Night Sister is there than a dark-skinned woman, melanated woman into her craft, into her magic? Who you think they talking about in these stories? The whole midichlorian thing deals directly with the black woman. So here she is right here doing magic. Just get the book. Stop fucking with me and get the book. Stop fucking with stop fucking around and get the book. Just get the fucking book. She goes in about the Force. She goes in about the magic. She's even the type of woman where they got men in her society are kind of like the lower end of the spectrum for the most part. Like they treat men and male witches or they treat their male counterparts real shitty. I ain't like that part. I would never let her do that to me. I'm just letting you know. So she deals with all types of shit that it's like, wow, they really had to be studying some black women for this or if you're going to come out with the mitochondria. Because I just told you how they studied the mitochondrial DNA in Henrietta Lacks and then these black women from Botswana, Africa. and how they have these strong, like these strong mitochondrial DNA, very old. Get this fucking book and stop playing with me. Just get it. It's only like what 17. You didn't pay. You had these conscious occult niggas on here having you spending like $100-$200 on they shit. Buy this shit for just damn near $18 from Amazon, and you'll get all types of occult insight into this shit. Not to say that you can't get it from other books, but this shit here, again, going back to Darth Plagueis' section in here where he talks about midichlorians. Just get the book. Stop playing with it. Okay. So now we're shifting from Star Wars a little, and then we're getting into this. The printer didn't work very well, but I put up this post maybe like last week or maybe a few days ago, where it says you allegedly have billions to trillions, of cells constituting your body, that are somatic and bacterial. So the cells in your body plus the bacteria. You know about your gut biome here, you know what I'm saying? And how they say that a lot, maybe, what'd they say, like 90%? Was it 90%? I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna just give a range. I know they said 80 to 90% of your body is bacterial cells. So not even just the mitochondria. You have gut bacteria and you have bacteria. That makes up them near 80 to 90% of your body. You mean to tell, and this is what the post is saying, you mean to tell me your ancestors don't occupy or operate any of them at all? Let me rephrase that. You have billions of cells in your body. You're telling me that your ancestors, some of y'all pray to them, some of y'all do rituals with them, some of y'all rely on them for this and that. Are you trying to tell me that they don't take up some sort of operation or occupation in the cells of your body? So they're just in the spirit realm and have nothing to do with your biology. That's what I'm trying to ask. Like they don't operate a cell, not one. You have billions and trillions. They don't operate them for you, because it's not like you're right now. You're not conscious of everything your cells are doing right now. You know what I'm saying? You don't even control your breathing. So how could you be in control of or be knowing whatever else everything in your body is doing? If you was on that level, you'd be able to be healthy all the fucking time and be down and never suffer from any ailment or sickness or any type of misfortune in your life. If you had that level of awareness and control over your body itself. So I don't know how niggas think they're powerful and you don't even have control over your own fucking flesh. You want to call it a flesh bag or a meat bag, but you don't control it. You haven't mastered it. And in fact, you're being mastered by entities in your body and you don't even fucking know it. My sister, this is for you. Now we get into Obayi. Obayi is a precursor to Obiya. The terms Obayi and Obiafo or Obaifo are specifically from the Akan, those terms. Perhaps the Ashanti in particular. So I've done videos about this book and its sequel, and then the Moetia, the third book by this guy Gabriel Bannerman Richter. Someone came in my inbox maybe like last month or maybe a couple months ago saying that he is still alive. So I want to, you know what I'm saying, correct myself. The guy said he was still alive. You know what I'm saying? And if he is, hopefully he gets to see this and he sees that I'm saying that this is a well-crafted work right here. And I thank him for putting it out. And you know that this book is where, you know, I've done videos on it extensively. You know what I'm saying? But now we're about to understand why we're talking about this in our mitochondria video. Obeah in the West Indies is utterly proven to spring from the indigenous spiritual practices of the Akan Coromantee or Coromantee slaves brought over from the Gold Coast of Africa by various European colonists. For example, In Jamaica alone, most Obeah men bore names according to the day of the week they were born on that were either exact or slightly variant names of a Khan day naming customs, which is known as Kradeen. Kra meaning soul and then Deen meaning name. Kradeen. You'll see this all in the document. So now I give you a list of books where you can read up on Obai. Now, what I need to make clear about Obai is that though the word itself is from the Akan and it comes from that side of Africa or whatever, the concept is beyond that culture. So when you're talking about Obai and Obaifo, it's not confined to the Akan. There are different names for the same thing all over the fucking or all over the earth. And damn near every black culture has their form of Obai or Obia or some sort of format of that. Which what we understand in Sankofa is that you're dealing with people that understand, birth. Simply. But we're going to get into the mitochondrial part of this shit too. So here are some works that I'm taking from, or referencing, or getting my understanding from outside of other things that I've picked up from listening to other people and interviewing other people and just dealing with other people. So the cultural politics of Obeah, Religion, Colonialism, and Modernity in the Caribbean World by Diana Patton. So this woman right here, she's a Caucasoid woman, but her documentation of the history of Obeah and that type of practice in the Caribbean is extensive. Of course, she don't know exactly what it is or how it operates, or maybe someone told her, I don't know. But her research suggests that, she knows about it. She did the history of it, but she don't know exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like she knows so much about it without being initiated into it, or without getting into the deeper circles or knowing exactly what it is. So I read that book. So that's an important book you would probably want to read. Another book is Obeah, a Sorceress Ossuary. Spelled that word and wrong. Obeah, a Sorceress Ossuary by Nicolaj de Matos Frisvold. So this is another Caucasoid guy who said he was initiated into Obeah by a Trinidadian Obeah man. And in his book, here's one of the first books I read on the subject, he puts a lot of jewels in that one. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ceremonial, Solomonic, Legemeton magic in his book though, but as far as the history of Obeah and understanding that Obeah comes from Obai, the term Obai, he gives you he confirms that in his book. He deals with that. But just in case Caucasoids, you don't want to listen to them, because I don't like listening to them like that either. We can talk about The Practice of Witchcraft in Ghana, this book by Gabriel Bannerman Richter, and then the sequel dealing with Don't Cry, My Baby, Don't Cry, the autobiography of an African witch, which I do sell on my website, acrosensum.com, as ebooks. So you'll be able to cop them from me. Because it's fucked up that the book is like $700 and something, $800 something on Amazon and everywhere else. And I think they did, and I explained that when they started seeing that this book started to be purchased a little more because of me promoting the shit, then they tried to fucking bring up the price on it. So I'm like, don't do that to niggas. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that to niggas. That's what they do to keep motherfuckers from getting the book. You know what I'm saying? Because why would you pay $700, $800 for a book that's only like 150 pages long? There must be something special about it that niggas don't want you to know about it. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring you this book, which it doesn't have a jacket to it, but Fragments of Bone, Neo-African Religions in a New World. And it's edited or compiled, because there's different authors, obviously. It's edited by Patrick Bellegarde Smith. So there's different authors giving different articles about different African I wouldn't say religion. It's definitely not religion. It's more along the lines of different African spiritual and metaphysical and supernatural practices. I mean, if you want to say Ifa is a religion and all that, I can see how you can see that, and there's articles on that stuff too. But the article that I want you to get into, if you ever get the book Fragments of Bone, is the article entitled "Out of the Same Bowl: Religious Beliefs and Practices in Akan Communities in Ghana and Jamaica" by Osei Mensah Abarampa. Osei Mensah Abarampa. And it's in this document. So don't worry if you don't, you need to spell something, it'll be in this document. You can download it. It'll be in the description section of this video. So this article is important because they settle it once and for all that Obia comes from the word Obai. Because there's different authors that'll say, oh, this shit comes from Benin, it comes from Nigeria, it comes from all these different places. But Obai is the original term of where you get Obia from. And he explains in this article how the Akan brought all that shit to Jamaica. And how the Akan were the dominant force in Jamaica. Obviously, if you're dealing with the history of Obia men that, that they recorded over, the past couple centuries, almost all the Obia men they dealt with had a Akradine name or a Kradine name from Ghana. Like Kwesi, Kwame, you know what I'm saying? Kwajo, what's the other ones? Keku, what's the other ones? Kofi, you know what I'm saying? Because you'll come across a lot of Ghana people, and they usually have these same names, right? Like Kwame, Kwesi, Kwajo, names like that. Kwabena, you know what I mean? For somebody like me that was born on Tuesday, so technically in their culture, I would be considered Kwabena. You know what I'm saying? And then also they have it for the women too, like Afua, which is for Friday if he was born on Friday, or Ajua if he was born on Monday, Akasua if he was born on Sunday. So you'll find that a lot of Obia men have these Ghana names. So you can't sit here and deny the fact that they were dominantly from Ghana. And then in this article, he also goes, in this book, he also goes into just, different aspects of the whole Obai shit, Duppies and all that type of stuff. So that's just the bibliography for you scholarly niggas that need to read. Because what we're getting into is going to go beyond books. You know what I mean? Yeah, the books are important. I come from the scholarship, but here's what I am. Or let me do it like this. There are good to know niggas, and then there are great to practice niggas. I'm a great to practice guy. Meaning I was on that good to know, meaning niggas that just deal with books and information, that's their endpoint. They don't go beyond that. It's just them reading, being scholars, but never applying or putting to practice what they're reading and studying and all that shit. They just want to fucking read. They don't go beyond that. I'm a great to practice guy. So one of the reasons I'm even coming to you with this whole mitochondrial thing and this midichlorian thing, because I'm already in the fucking practice of it. So what I know about all this, it's all in the practice that I do on the daily. Let it be known. I'm a great to practice guy. Know the difference. I evolved from good to know and got into great to practice. Because it's good to know all the information. I mean, you got people inboxing me all types of information all day. Showing me what they know, what they found. That's good to know. But I'm a great to practice. So I'm going to look at your information that you want to send me through email or inbox or whatever. And I'm going to evaluate it real quick and see if it's useful to me at the time. Because it might not even be useful. See, good to know niggas like to bask in non-useful information. See, as a great to practice type of guy, we're going to see what works and we're going to see how we can put it into a procedure to get to a desired result. You know what I mean? That's what the alchemist does. It goes from philosophy. Philosophy is the spirit. Theory is the thought. Practice is the body. So if we go all the way down to your body or your body of work and it has flaws and it's fucked up, it's diseased or whatever, I know that your theory is unsound and your philosophy is fucked up and you're listening to the wrong spirits. And I posted about that on my Instagram. So those are the books. So now we're getting deeper into Obia. So if you look at the word without the H, O-B-E-A. I don't know if you can see it. O-B-E-A. In Akan Ashanti Twi, which is the language of the Akan Ashanti, Obia means woman. Sister, you've been on my mind. I keep telling you this. Black woman, sister, Miss Ma'am, milady, brown sugar, baby. I gets high on your love. You've been on my mind. Mwah. You know what I'm saying? So the word Obi itself in Ashanti Akan Twi means woman. So to be, why would you call it, why not just keep it Obai? Why would you then start calling Obai Obia when you go to Jamaica? You're talking about that black woman. It literally, Obia literally means woman in this Akan language. Now we get into this picture here. It doesn't matter if it looks backwards, but you see that there's 3 women, right? You see the 3 melanated sisters? Beautiful black sisters. You know they use a lot of cocoa butter, a lot of shea butter, a lot of aloe. You know what I'm saying? The little aloe sisters. You know they using that cocoa butter, cucumber, melon on they shit. You know what I'm saying? On their skin. And now you need to know about the painting. So this painting is called the Morai by Angel Patton. So Angel Patton painted this picture. She illustrated this picture. The Morai. Now we in a new section of this shit. Where we at? Hour and 42 minutes. I hope you're still around. Stop trying to sit here and say it's too long. It's power packed with power. My sister, my sister. So the Morai, who are the Morai? Now we got to get into some Greek mythology and Greco-Roman mythology. Morai, or the 3 sisters of fate in Greco-Roman mythology, are geriatric, meaning old, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes they don't, obviously they're not depicting them as old women. But usually in Greco-Roman mythology, the 3 fates are usually depicted as old black women. Or not, or old, for the Caucasoid, they're, old Caucasoid women. But they always are depicting them as these old women, right? Geriatric women. And they're these geriatric female deities that control birth, life, and death of all beings. You know how in the movie, that Disney movie Hercules, they tried to like have some soul in it? Like they had those 5 women singing some soul and shit, you know what I mean? But then in the movie, you also have where the villain Hades, you know what I'm saying? He's the villain in the movie, the nigga with the blue fire as hair. He goes to these 3 women. These 3 women, what do they do in the movie? These 3 old hag looking women. What do? They control the birth, life, and death of every being in the cosmos or in the universe or in existence. So let's keep going. So with these Morai, or the 3 sisters of fate, they spin the matrilineal or mother threads of fate. What does this go back to? Mitochondria. Didn't we establish at the beginning of this shit that mitochondria, you get your mitochondria most likely from your mother? Now, there may be rare instances, very rare instances, where your father's sperm, which is where his mitochondria delivery is at, it will get into the egg. So then you'll have the mitochondria of both, your mother and your father. But they in the whole medical industry or the medical science field, they say that shit is rare. We don't know. Perhaps it's more frequent or more even rare than that. But usually your mother, obviously, in which this is common knowledge, your mother gives you your mitochondria. You know what I'm saying? So this is what they do. They spin the mother or matrilineal threads of fate. These three old women, we're going to call them black women. These three old black women are spinning the threads of fate, the mother threads, which is the mitochondria and the activity of the mitochondria in your body, my God. So let's get into who the sisters are. So you have the spinner, which in Greek mythology is called Clotho. She's the spinner, meaning she spins the thread. The next sister is called the allater, or the determiner of the length, which is Lachesis. Yeah, Lachesis. Or it could be pronounced another way. Who knows what the fuck they pronouncing this shit. Lachesis. Or Lachesis. Or or Lachesis. You'll see it in the document. She's the allater, or the determiner of the length. So if the first sister spins the thread, the second sister determines how long the thread is going to be. She determines the length. Is it going to be an inch? Is it going to be 3 feet? Is it going to be a mile? How long is this thread going to be? Then the third and final sister is called the unturnable, or the cutter, Atropos. Atropos cuts the thread. She severs the thread. She makes the cut. So what are you seeing here? What's the pattern? Birth, life, death. You have a sister that deals with birth, the spinner, a sister that deals with life itself, the determiner, and you have the final sister that deals with death, the cutter. Birth, life, death. That triangle sisters. Mirai. You can tell by their name Mirai that they deal with death. Or at least the final sister does. This is the fucking mythology of your mitochondria. So right there in your Greco-Roman myths, and I know it's older. It has to go all the way back to Nile Valley, going back to Atlantis, however you think old this shit is. You have three sisters of fate. They determine the birth, life, death of every living organism on this planet. Your mitochondria is the three sisters. They deal with the three sister energy. Wasn't there someone in the occult conscious community that talked about the three sisters, and he gave some names about them? I don't know. We'll get to that maybe. You probably know what I'm talking about. This is the three sisters, right there in your Greco-Roman mythology. Many sources claim Obia involves a dark supernatural power known as Obi or Bai that is spiritually transferred from master to apprentice. Which strongly implies inheritance, legacy, or genetic transfer or transmission. Is this transfer vertical or horizontal? Now, this is just some, some side shit that you can kind of do for yourself. Like, because vertical means that I passed it down to my children, and horizontal means I passed it on by having sex with somebody. So that's just, I just wanted to throw that in there for those who are interested in that side of things. But if the midichlorians in Star Wars hold, generate, or at least manage the spiritual force, the force in Star Wars, then do mitochondria hold, generate, or at least manage the spiritual power, or Bai, or the OB? Why wouldn't they? Because I just sat here and told you out of my mouth that the whole three sisters thing, the three sisters of fate, the Mirai, deal with the birth, life, and death of every creature in existence. They have the power to bring out the birth. They have the power to keep something alive for a long time, or for however long it's going to be. And then they bring out the death, the apoptosis, the necrosis that the mitochondria are known for. So this mythology about them is describing your mitochondrial fucking activity in your body. They hold the Obi. The power over birth, life, death. That's what we call biopower. If you read this book here, should have brought this out even earlier. This is one of my favorites, Balls of Fire, A Science of Life and Death by Judy K. King. She talks about biopower in one of the earlier chapters of this book. How biopower is the control over the fate of a creature, like of a species. Like you control how it's born, how long it is, like everything about it. You control its fate. The mitochondria being labeled the powerhouse of the cell, why wouldn't the mitochondria be the powerhouse of the supernatural power like the fictional midichlorians are? Why wouldn't it? This George Lucas dude decided to put midichlorians in the Star Wars lore, into the story, into the legend. Why? And made it responsible for how strong someone is in the Force. In Obia, the Caribbean versions at least, DNA is expressly recognized and studied. So now we're getting into DNA. And then you can read the book Gusm Power Obia, edited by a guy named Bernard Jenke. It'll be in this document that you can download. So snakes and serpents figure prominently in Obia. In fact, it has been observed that Obia stems from the Kemetic or ancient Egyptian word ob or obion, which is ob or obion, meaning serpent. I've even had dreams that featured snakes and serpents in a highly symbolic manner. I'm pretty sure you have too. Because everybody likes to make this personal. Like they'll be in the comments like, oh, I had a dream about a snake. And, they always make it about them. It's supposed to be about us. Like, I know you had a snake dream, especially if you're a black woman. You know what I mean? And if you didn't have a snake dream as a black woman, I don't know. Maybe you need to get back into your black womanness. Like, go deeper into it. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps there's something you're missing. Like, something that ain't clicking. You know what I mean? Because I know black women done had a dream about snakes. If I had symbolic dreams about snakes, I know black women should have had dreams about them. Especially black snakes. I done had dreams about black snakes. So where was I? So this is here in this document to show that how old this shit is. This isn't new. You know what I mean? This Obion or Ob thing goes all the way back to this Nile Valley shit. So Obia or the Obai thing is not new. It's not a new phenomenon. Especially if we're dealing with black women in mitochondria and midichlorians. Okay, so now we're dealing with Judy K. King's book again. So in Judy K. King's book, Balls of Fire, and in some of her other work, Isis Thesis and a lot of her other essays or whatever, she decodes the serpents in the Medu-Neter of Kemet, including Apep or Apophis and Mihin, which is the dragon thing that I did a whole video on Mihin and the whole thing about the Long Wang clan and dragons. You know what I'm saying? It's on my YouTube channel. Go look it up. She decodes these serpents in Medu-Neter of Kemet, the hieroglyphs in Kemet, to be symbols of microbial proteins, enzymes, and other molecular chains. Very important shit. So she also touches on a phenomenon called quantum state reduction, which is also known as QSR, where a person's consciousness can descend to the quantum microscopic level and observe the metaphysical activity occurring there. This is a major component of my dream genome thesis. The fact that when you dream, you go into your own self. You shrink into the microscopic microbial levels of your being. And what verifies this shit is you have to study different spectroscopy. Study spectroscopy. The only reason they can sit here and give you an image of a DNA molecule or a macromolecule is the fact that they're using X-rays and infrared and UV light to mark that shit. Because you cannot see anything that is sure. How's it go? Hold on. If I'm looking at something and it has a shorter wavelength than the light that I'm using to look at it, it's going to be invisible. You can't see it. The reason you cannot see with your naked eye these microscopic organisms or these microscopic creatures, these microbes, is because they exist on a wavelength that is shorter than the one you're using to look at them. So if your eyes have been adjusted to the visible spectrum of light all your life, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to see no other color or other wavelengths with your eyes unless, you know what I'm saying, you develop them to that, because that's what I'm on, of developing your eyes, because you can probably already see resonances of infrared. When you close your eyes, when you can see people's auras, this is what we're talking about. When you're looking at someone's aura, you're actually looking at their heat resonance or their infrared body. You have fucking technology out here that does that. It's not mystical anymore. You know what I'm saying? This is why I say technology, more than what technology does for us, is what it reveals about us. The fact that you have infrared spectroscopy machines, EKG, EEGs, these electroencephalograph machine, these machines are built to observe, for us to observe, you know, these scientists especially, to observe frequencies that are beyond the visible light spectrum of the earth. So the only way you can really see anything on that microscopic level is the fact that you are entering a new range of the electromagnetic spectrum to see it. There's a whole science called X-ray crystallography. The only way they can give you the shape of give you the shapes of these molecules, macromolecules within the body, is the fact that they're using special X-ray diffraction patterns to do it. You need X-ray level of the electromagnetic spectrum to see anything that small. What my dream genome thesis is telling you is that when you dream, you're entering, not only are you going to the microscopic realm, you're also entering different spectral ranges of the electromagnetic spectrum. That's what my whole thing is about. I got a whole, if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know if you're a newcomer or you've already watched it, but I have a whole series called Dream Genome Thesis. And then you can also watch my Occult Microbiology 101, which expounds on that shit. Sister, you got me hyped. Sister, you've been on my mind. You're always on my mind. Where did I leave off for? I kind of got hype in that shit. So the whole thing about the quantum state reduction, you going into a new range of the EM spectrum as you go into these quantum microscopic levels of your cells and of your biology. This QSR ability may just be the infamously cryptic key in medieval alchemy and other forms of alchemy, since alchemy comes from and is named after Kemet. And in Judy K. King's work, she reveals that the various illustrations and hieroglyphs and metal netter of ancient Kemet encode an esoteric or an occult transmutational process, evolution, and metaboly. You need to start knowing that word metaboly. METABOLE. That is what the alchemist, that's how I know you're an alchemist. If you're not into this shit right here, you're not studying that, you're not really a true alchemist. Why even use the word if you're not even going to deal with metabolism, which is the word that is derived from metaboly. Metaboly goes all the way back to the ancient Greek. You know what I'm saying? Etruscans, for those that want to, that know about the whole black origin of Greek. You know what I mean? So maybe these Greek letter organizations that be doing, you know what I'm saying, the stump and the canes and all that shit, they might have something. I ain't going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know what I mean? I ain't going to do that, all right? All right, sister? I ain't going to do that. So if you a AKA or SG Row, you know what I'm saying? You a Delta, you know what I'm saying? I like the Deltas. The Deltas, the chicks that be going like this and they be in red and shit. I like Deltas. Not to say I don't like AKAs. I like deltas though. What else? So her work, Judy K. King, this one right here, she reveals that all those metonetter or those hieroglyphs deal with a transmutational or evolutionary process starting at the wave genetic level of the human organism. So this is why you got to study wave genetics too. You know what I'm saying? And I have a book in the videos dealing with dream genome thesis. It's called the quantum linguistic wave genome or something like that. You'll find it. It's written by a guy named Peter Garrieve. So in other words, and then also with wave genetic, what do they mean by that? They're talking about how your genetics is of a wave nature, meaning it's not physical in its scope. It's physical at one end of the spectrum, and then it's spiritual or of a wave spectral nature of a higher nature than your physical DNA. In fact, the way that they're doing, like trying to read your DNA with all these geneticists today, is that each the four bases, the guanine, thymine, cytosine, and adenine, they give off a resonant frequency. They give off a light on a spectrum beyond the physical. That's how they're even able to fucking see that and deal with that information. You know what I'm saying? So start studying the electromagnetic spectrum. So in other words, the kings and priesthoods of ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt knew how to induce and navigate via the sun bark this quantum state reduction experience. So they knew that they were going to the microbial realm when this dead king was buried and did all the rituals. They were preparing him for that journey. But how this relates to our discussion today is Obia or Obai, the science of tapping into the power or the force of the mitochondria. Because why wouldn't you be dealing with the mitochondria when you go into a quantum state reduction into the dream state? Mitochondria are the true bearers of the biopower spoken about in the Balls of Fire book. They control birth, life, and death of every living cell. This guy named Richard Altman, all the way from maybe the 18 or 1700s, I forgot. Richard Altman, he probably was an alchemist. A lot of these scientists were practicing alchemists. Richard Altman called the mitochondria, he gave them the name bioblast, which I mentioned this earlier in the video. He gave them the name bioblast, which is literally living germs or living sprouts, implying that they are the source of life. Consider how sex, money, murder, the three main reasons y'all use the occult for, aligns with birth, life, and death. So this is something where I don't know if you ever went to an Obia person or someone that does witchcraft or they do spells and rituals and they charge you to do it. So if you want to spell a love spell, you'll go to this witch or this bruja or this brujerio, if he a dude or whatever. You go to these priests or priestesses and what do you usually go to them for? It's usually in the category of sex, money, murder, ain't it? It's either for sex, it's either for money, or it's for murder. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be those in particular. Like for sex, you would put in that category love. Like you want to get a relationship with somebody, or you want to break a relation, like you want to get somebody away from you. That would be in the realm of sex. And then money, obviously, you want to gain more money, or if it ain't money, you want to gain more possessions. You want to acquire this house. You want to acquire this job. You want to acquire some sort of object, right? Or some sort of material, physical thing. And then death or murder, you want to go to somebody to murk somebody else or to get revenge. This will be in the realm of murder. You want to get revenge. You want to get a revenge spell on somebody. So you go to this worker for you to do that. Some sort of revenge or some sort of to place an attack on somebody else. So those three things, those three categories, sex, money, murder, line up directly with birth, life, and death. That triangle of life. You're born here, you live your life here, and then you die here. That's mitochondrial activity all day. And then you go to this worker, this spirit worker, or this magic magician, or whoever, priestess, bruja, whatever, for those activities, for those things to be performed for a fee. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all out here paying like $3,000 for this shit. I've heard some of y'all paying $10,000, $100,000 for shit like that, for like a practitioner to, you know what I'm saying, do something for you. You know what I mean? I've heard of these things. Finally, let's deal with the actual etymology of the term mitochondria. See, mitochondria is plural for mitochondrion. So the word mitochondrion was coined by a German microbiologist. I gotta fucking fix that. The mitochondrion was coined by a microbiologist named Carl Benda in 1898 from the ancient Greek mitos, which means thread. Thread. I just sat here and told you that the Morai sisters, or the three sisters of fate, what do they deal with? Thread. One spins the thread, one determines how long the thread is going to be, and one cuts the thread. That thread being your life, the beginning, middle, and end of your life. And it's right here in the fucking word, mitochondria. Mito means thread. And then chondrion, which is a diminutive in Greek, meaning grain, morsel, particle, or granule. So mitochondrion literally means thread molecule, thread morsel, thread grain. So mitochondria means thread cells, thread bacteria, thread particles. These are thread-like particles in your cells of your body right now, doing all the metabolic, life, birth, death functions, all that catalytic shit, all giving off that calorie heat when you eat something and you metabolize it or you digest it. It's this mitochondria, this thread molecule or thread granule. And then we get deeper into the word mitos. Mitos means thread of the warp, tantra, thread of destiny, fate, string of a lyre. You know, the instrument, the lyre, is like a harp type of thing. So why mitos is related to the thread of the warp or the loom. You got Fruit of the Loom drawers on right now, or Fruit of the Loom bra or panties on? Fruit of the Loom. That loom word, mitos, right there in your mitochondria. The mitochondria is the weavers of life. I'm doing a braiding motion. I'm not a braider, obviously. My mom did a lot of braiding. She was a hairstylist. You know what I'm saying? We used to sit here and watch these women come into the house and be in the house for like 8 to 9 hours getting their hair done by my mom. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting in the chair, you know what I'm saying? Even falling asleep sometimes. I know about braiding. I know about weave. I know about all that. Now we're going to bring weave into the mitochondria. You wear weave, sister? You ever wore weave in your life? You ever had weave hair? You had box braids? I love box braids with Janet Jackson in that movie, Poetic Justice. You gonna wear box braids after this video? Take a picture and send it to me. My inbox is alexwell64. And then my email is general@ackersenson.com. It's in the section of this video, the description section. When you get box braids or you get weave, send it to me. This is me macking on the video. So mitos in the word mitochondria is directly related to tantra. Are you a tantrika, my sister? You a tantrika? You into tantra? You do tantric yoga or tantric sex? What do you think they're talking about when they're talking about tantra? You're dealing with your mitochondria when you deal with tantra. Tantra definition. So this is a Sanskrit word, tantra, which literally means loom, the warp, or weave. Weaving threads of fate on the loom or warp. So the mitochondria, if you could picture it, they're weaving the strands of life, the threads of life. That's their job. They're part of their function. They're weaving life. They're weavers. So if you ever went to a loom or someone that threads clothing, that they do not with the machine, because the machine also does it too, like the threading machine, sewing machine. But you ever seen someone naturally use that loom or that warp? And they thread shit like they can make you a blanket or a carpet by looming it and weaving it together. That's what your mitochondria is doing right fucking now. They did this when you was in the womb. They're going to do this as you're alive out here in the world. And they do this when you die. They're constantly weaving threads of life. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all, like, if you do hair, how long do it take you to cornrow a nigga head? You know what I'm saying? Because when I was 16 or 17 years old, I used to have cornrows. It don't look like it would be that now, but that's definitely what I had when I was 16, 17 years old. And then I cut it off and got waves and shit. Now I'm bald. You know what I mean? So how long did it take for you to braid someone's hair? You know what I mean? Your mitochondria does this shit all the time. So let's get deeper into it, shall we? Sister, you've been on my mind, girl. You're always on my mind. Mwah. Okay, so the practice of Tantra is often associated with alchemy. You'll even see the term tantric alchemy. You'll see that if you type that up, and there's plenty of fucking websites and references and books on tantric alchemy. You'll see them two words together all the time. Tantric alchemy, right? And in recent times, it is synonymous with spiritual or a more refined form of sexual intercourse. So they even relate the Tantra to sexual intercourse, which some people will say it's not really about the sex, but the sex also plays a part in it because you're dealing with mitochondria. They are the sexual shits in your body. They are the sexual microbes in you. That's what they're constantly doing. Sex, money, murder. That's their fucking daily activity. And if it ain't you dying, it's definitely cells that are dying in your body that have outworn their use, or it's time for them to die. So there is even like I said, the compounded term tantric yoga. I just said yoga before, right? Tantric yoga. How closely associated is Tantra with Obia and Obai? How closely associated are they if all these shits come from mitochondria? Does true Tantra involve horizontal gene transfer between the nuclear genome and the mitochondrial genome in the eukaryotic cell, or even the horizontal gene transfer between the human and the lambda virus genomes, as is detailed in Judy K. King's work right here? Sister, I hope you understand why I had to come here today on this fine, sunny, afternoon, and, you know what I'm saying, to fuck with you, you know what I mean? I'm macking on this shit. I'm trying to get you threaded and signed, you know what I'm saying? Come on, shorty. You always on my mind. So a very key subject at this point is mitochondrial biogenesis. This is worth your study. Mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning that you're doing things to increase or rev up your metabolic processes through the way of these mitochondria in your cells. And in doing so, you increase more mitochondria in your body. See, with the Star Wars thing with the midichlorians, what they're saying is that you have to be born a certain way. You have to already have that number. Like, for example, Anakin Skywalker and Yoda, they have midichlorian counts of like 20,000 per cell. And then all the other ones have lesser amounts. But with mitochondrial biogenesis, This is saying that you can increase your number. So if you're at 10,000 per cell doing certain practices, you can go to 2,500 and beyond. And this is the mitochondria saying, oh, this person is fit for us to live inside and do work for. So we're going to increase our numbers and increase our presence and increase our power so that this person can have use of it. The human genome already has gene transfers from mitochondria. So this is another thing that I was fucking reading up on, or studying up on, the fact that your nucleus already has mitochondrial DNA in it. So you look at, this is your cell. Hold on. Let me demonstrate this shit using objects. This is your cell, right? This top of this shit from my drink. Let me marinate the tongue before I get started. This is your cell. So in this cell, you have all types of organelles. You have your lysosomes, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, all that shit. You also have your nucleus, and you also have the mitochondria. Wouldn't you think that if the nucleus has its own DNA and the mitochondria has its own set of DNA, don't you think they would be merging at some point in time? Like the nuclear DNA gets into the DNA of the mitochondria and the mitochondrial DNA gets into the nucleus? What happens when they fuse all together? Sister, you're on my mind. So the human genome already has gene transfers from mitochondria. I suspect that some groups of people have more of the mitochondrial DNA within their own nuclear genomes than other ones. This suggests that some people have more of the mitochondrial inclination, affinity, intentionality, drive, vocation, behavioral pattern than others. What is that saying? It's saying that there's going to be people that behave like mitochondria more than others, because everybody has mitochondria. But who actually is the ones who behave more like mitochondria? That's my question. And what I'm saying is that it would be those who have more of the mitochondrial DNA in their nucleus than other people. So you're basically a mitochondria person, meaning that all your life activities will be in the same lane or in the same category as what your mitochondria do in your body. And you do that activity out here in the external realm or the external world. Additionally, it suggests that mitochondrial people, because of their higher amount of mitochondrial genes in their genomes, their nuclear genomes, are most likely to be drawn to obai, and necromantic practices, the occult. The more mitochondrially inclined you are, the more you'll be attracted to the occult, necromancy, obai, and all related phenomena and all related activities. If not an outright full genome merging on a microscopic level with mitochondria. So if this book can sit here and reveal to you that your DNA is supposed to be merging with the DNA of a virus, then why not for the mitochondria as well? What about the mitochondria, the viral DNA, and the nuclear DNA fusing together as one? Sister, you've been on my motherfucking mind. Ooh. And then what I have here is this is a post I put up maybe like last month or a few weeks ago, and it's talking about the mitochondria's role in cancer, the metabolic switch, and you'll find it in this document you can download in the description section of this video, and it's giving you the idea, or it's telling you how your mitochondria is directly related to cancer, because people, cancer and all that shit is a light related phenomenon. How is your body converting light, and what frequencies of light is your body used to converting? Because some people think it's because of a bug or a disease that you got. No, it's your body's relationship with the electromagnetic spectrum and how it's converting. Is it converting it properly, or is it fucked up based on your diet? And I'm going to say this one more time. I'm going to leave it alone. Stop listening to niggas who think that their diet doesn't have an effect on their spirituality. Of course it does. They out here leading you astray, shorty, and I'm here to be like, I'm trying to put you on track. I'm trying to put you in a, I ain't gonna say I'm putting you, I'm showing you how you can be in alignment. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all them, fuck them. You tell them I said fuck them if they're out here telling you that bullshit. Because now it's not even that you're disrespecting yourself when you eat in those fucked up ways that you eat, but the fact that you're disrespecting your mitochondria that control birth, life, death in your whole fucking body. How dare you disrespect that? How dare you disrespect them when they have the thread of life in their hands, literally, or on a microscopic level? Stop listening to these niggas. They steering you wrong. I'm telling you. Many black women are known for wearing a lot of weave. Boom. Boom. This should be the end of the fucking video. That should, you might just cut it off. That's the end of the video right there. Many black women are known for wearing weave, wigs, and all the thing. Quick weave. I done seen the quick shit. And all, you know what I'm saying? That real quick gold shit. Black women wear that all the time. And if it's not weave, they're braiding their hair all the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? Because I know hair is a very important and touchy subject in the black woman community. Just watch the movie Good Hair, the Chris Rock movie. And if I'm not mistaken, the reason he made that documentary, it may be other reasons, but he has daughters. I have a daughter. Daughters. You know what I'm saying? Even if I don't have a woman right now, I got a daughter. And guess what? She gonna be dealing with this shit when she grows up. Like, this whole thing of you going out into the fucking world and someone making fun of you because of your hair, the texture of your hair, it's nappy, it's this, it's that. It's not flowing like this Heidi over here. You know what I'm saying? This little snow bunny joint over here, the little Caucasian woman. You know what I mean? This is a very important topic because I need you to understand now. The video ain't over. I just said that because it was an explosive thing to know. But many black women are known for wearing a lot of weave in their hair, or weaving or braiding their naturally grown hair, or simply wearing wigs or sew-ins. This is an example of an internal predictive model. Now, I forgot which page, this book right here, Judy K. King, she mentions the book Robert Rosson's Anticipatory Systems. So it's a book he came out in the 80s where he's talking about internal predictive model that proteins bestow to humans and their psychology and behavior. These women behave like mitochondrial proteins in the mitochondria by wearing weave and or braiding their hair in weave patterns to symbolize the weaving of life that mitochondria are associated with in the cells of an organism. Damn, the video over again. Oh shit, sister. God damn. God damn. Let's sum it up in some other words. The reason my black sister is wearing weave is simply because she is a mitochondrial model. Or she's modeling herself after the mitochondria, whether she's aware of this or not. For those of you that are in the Church of Jung, like you're a Carl Jung follower and enthusiast, you like using terms like subconscious and unconscious and anima and shadow and individuation. I'm going to do a video about the Church of Jung. But the whole thing of subconscious level, so in the terms of the Church of Jung, Black women are following the mitochondrial pattern subconsciously. That's why you're wearing the weave, boo. Sweetheart. Sweetheart. That's why you're wearing it. Whether you know it or not. And the fact that it's black women that are usually the ones really wearing the weave says so much. Black women are the embodiment of the mitochondria. Sister. I was about to fuck my beautiful sweet sister. Beautiful, melodious, sweet. I'm trying to think of all the beautiful adjectives because you've been on my mind. You've been on my mind, like I never met anyone as neat and swell. Remember that Barton episode where he was acting like a nerd? Every time I look into your beautiful shimmering weave, it makes me go, can I have one last look, please? I could just go die now. But then it was that episode of Martin where Martin, he lost his CD player because Broman took his CD player, but he thought one of his friends stole it. So they had that scene that was like New Jack City, you know what I'm saying, where Martin was acting like Nino Brown, trying to find out who took his CD player. And then when Cole was interrogated, he was like, it was Pam. Think about it, Martin. She could have snuck that CD player out in her weave. My beautiful, sweet sister. Do I have some gospel for you, sister? Sister, if you just study the mitochondria just a tad bit more than you have been lately. Oh, my beautiful, bodacious, lovely, what's some other words? I'm gonna keep dealing with the adjectives. My powerful, sweet sister. Ooh, my opulent, sweet sister. Saturine in your move, your hips and swing, phenomenal woman. That's right. That's you, a phenomenal woman. That's her. It's all in you, baby. All the women is in you. You're so sweet. Ooh. Let me keep continuing. So to recap that, the reason that the black woman is into her weave, the reason you're wearing it is a mitochondrial predictive model, meaning that the mitochondria is giving you your behavior. It's giving you your model of being. Now we can go into this book one more time. There's a whole section in this book right here, the Balls of Fire, Judy K. King. She gives you a whole list of how all our human behavior is based on the way these microbes and microscopic organisms behave in our body right now. So if you think that you invented something or that you came up with something, the mitochondria came up with it first. The nuclear DNA, the proteins in your body came up with the activity first. Writing, reading, the proteins came up with that. Computers, the proteins came up with that. You name it, sports, warfare, religion, buying, bartering, money systems. Your proteins came up with the model first. And you as a multicellular organism you're emulating that, whether you're conscious of it or not. That's an internal predictive model. It's inside of you, internal, and it's predicting your behavior. So this internal predictive model thing is more efficient than your fucking Jung psychology. It's more efficient than your Sigmund Freud and your American Psychiatric Association of America. It's more efficient. I know why you behave the way you do, because the proteins in your body is behaving that way. If I know how the protein behaves, I know how humans are going to behave. So it's not even just the mitochondria sites, it's the mitochondrial proteins that are running the show. The proteins are the workhorses in your body. They do everything. Puberty, the reason your hair grows in certain places, the reason you get horny. You know what I'm saying? My beautiful, sweet sister. You know what I'm saying? The reason you get hot and bothered when you see these lips, you know what I'm saying? When you see this skin, it's all glistening in the sun and shit. You know what I mean? My beautiful, beautiful, sweet sister. Woo! I love you. You on my, oh, you ain't even on my, you in my heart. I don't want no other type of woman. I want a black, sweet sister. That's all I want. That's all I want. Fuck all the mother hoes. I want that. Give me the one with the weave. See, now niggas was like, you know, in the whole conscious community, especially like in the 90s going into the 2000s, these niggas was hating on you for wearing the weave. And you did try to come back at them to be like, well, in Egypt, they were wearing weave. So why you ain't have a problem with it back in Egypt? Why you got a problem with it now? But you can school this nigga now by saying, nigga, the mitochondria is the weavers. They are the weave. The weave is right there in your fucking cells of your body, nigga. That's how you can school that nigga when he try to make fun of you for wearing wigs and weaves and whatever else, quick weaves and all that shit. The Yaki number 17 from the Korean store. This is why I don't think black women are going to stay away from the Korean store. As long as there's weave in there, there's a black woman in there. Y'all got to stop that shit. This is my call to action. Start bringing or getting into the business of your own weave. Stop letting the Koreans and the Chinese get into that. That's your realm. Even in that movie with Chris Rock where he was talking about how, you know, those Indian women that cut off their hair to give to the gods, and then it's you, the black woman, who gets it and wears it on your head. This shit is mitochondrial. Those Indian women over there giving their hair, they're giving their hair to the mitochondrial deities, the fates, the three sisters. My sister, you gotta understand stuff. Obia literally means woman in Akan language, the Twi language. Literally. And now we about to get a little bit darker. So, you know what I'm saying? Put the kids up. We about to get real dark. This shit probably gonna be 3 hours, maybe even longer. We about to get dark. So if you was watching this with your children, my bad if, you know what I'm saying, there was some curse words. Sometimes shit gotta come out. You know what I mean? We ain't cussing at the babies. It's just the words get into the, you know what I'm saying, or we get heated in discussions. So don't be out here talking about, oh, he always cussing his video. Fuck all that. No. Fuck all that. You want a degree that I didn't transcended. You need to transcend a little bit more, sweet sister. I still love you, but you gotta grow up. Gotta evolve. You're going to find out that these mitochondria are with you for your evolution. So let's continue. It's going to get dark. Also, strip club stripper culture applies here. You ain't know that? You finna find out. Your barbecue. Like, what's his name? Dontario Hundon says. Which has strong mitochondrial undertones and overtones to it. As well as Kali Ma overtones. So the whole hoe culture. The strip club, sacred whore, all the women's a sacred horse now. This is all going back to the mitochondria, you see? Your mitochondria is doing the horse shit before you do it. That's where you're getting your model to do it from. You ain't know that? It's right there in your cells of your body. Because your mitochondria is the most sexual fucking... Just the whole microscopic realm is a very sexual realm. They're always having HGT sex in the microscopic realm. Oh, it's super sexual. They be fucking in the microscopic realm. Ooh, they be fucking. And it ain't regular monogamous fucking. They doing orgies in your cells right now. It's an orgy going on in your body. A big ass fucking orgy. Just in one cell. All so that you can function the way you are. So where do you think you get that from? So any of you women, or just anybody, it doesn't have to be black women, anybody, me, anybody. The fact that you are, if this is you, like you're a person that's out there real promiscuous, or you're into polyamory and polygamy and all this stuff, you're really following the model in your microscopic realm. They're doing that. Now you're doing it. Because there's a succession. First, they set the model, and then you follow behind them, whether you know it or not. This is why this internal predictive model thing is way more efficient than you trying to psychoanalyze me with some Carl Jung shit. Or how y'all motherfuckers like to stick to these personality disorders. Like borderline personality, antisocial personality disorder, histrionic. Fuck all that. That's some creation by them motherfuckers that came up with that whole American psychiatric shit, that DSM-V shit. Nigga, I got a better model to predict and understand your fucking behavior and your psychology by studying microbiology and proteins and shit and their activities. So strip club culture, and you know what I'm talking about, the whole ass shaking, getting butt implants, ass cheek injections, and the big lips, and the stripper, and they into stripping at home. Now they buying poles now. You know what I'm saying? They buying poles for the bedroom now. I've seen videos. Y'all gotta be careful with them poles. I done seen bitches fall straight on their head on that fucking pole. Be careful with that pole dancing. You break your fucking neck in here. I'm telling you this for your own good. I seen a video where a bitch was like, she had to be at least 15 feet up a pole. That bitch fell straight down. Boom! That's me adding automatopoeia to my videos and shit. But, you know what I'm saying? Be careful on that fucking pole. Be careful. But you know the whole culture, the stripper culture, the I gotta get mine culture, the whole, Housewives of Atlanta, Housewives of DC and all that shit. This is all going back to the way your mitochondria is acting. So stripper culture applies here, which has strong mitochondrial undertones to it and overtones, as well as Kali Ma. So the Kali Ma thing of you sticking out your tongue and shaking your ass and, focus on acquiring money and wealth and possessions via dark occult sexual means, sexual promiscuity, the whole thing of y'all, you know what I'm saying? You don't mind being called a hoe now. Like you embrace the term of whore. This is mitochondrial. This is mitochondrial shit now. The fact that you want to be on Instagram or Facebook acting like a whore or a hoe is the mitochondria wanting to be known. They want to show themselves now. They've been in the cut. Now they want to be known. Hence this video you watching. This culture is a cult for sure. It's based on our ancient fertility cults where large buttocks and wide-hipped women engage in sacred dances, which you now call popping in the 90s. Now they call it twerking, or lumbel in Senegal. So I know somebody that know about lumbel. So if you type in Leumbeul, you're going to get all these porn sites and these videos of these African women shaking, or Senegalese women shaking their ass. You know what I'm saying? Because there's an art to shaking your ass. It goes back, I ain't going to say go back to Africa because that would imply there was no black people anywhere else. But the different black cultures or different melanated cultures, they have some version of ass shaking. See, in America, we're now calling it twerking and popping and shit. I remember in the 90s, we called it popping. That's where Ludacris got that song, Pussy Popping, or Booty Popping on a Handstand. It used to come out on BET Uncut at night and shit. It probably still do. Pussy Popping. We used to call it popping. Then, when the 2000s came, niggas start calling it twerking. I'm like, where you get that word from? We called it popping back in my day. But lumbel is a form of that. So you see these videos, not even if it don't even have to be Senegal. It can just be, you see Africans doing this very quick ass shaking, right? These are ancient practices to affect the weather or petition deities to bestow rain in or other objects and circumstances of value like fertility of agricultural land. Make it rain. That shit is ancient. Making it rain, my sweet sister, is ancient. You did dances to make the sky change, to make it rain. Why did you want it to rain? Because you wanted to overflow the river. When the river floods, you get prosperity and abundance in your agriculture and your crops. You have an abundant source of water, an abundant source of resources now because of you doing these ritualistic dances with your ass and your hips. So I'm like, can I get a free dance? Why, you know what I'm saying? Can I get a free dance? You know what I mean? I'm coming with this shit. You ain't got to pay for it. You know what I mean? We can trade. Like, I gave you this document and then you give me a dance, my sweet sister. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, it's equivalent exchange. So let's go on. Making it rain is ancient, going all the way back to the ritual flooding, like I said, of the Nile River in Nile Valley civilization. And there's a book you can get by the dude, what's his name? He used to be with the Amun Ra squad. What's his name? Asar Imhotep. And he came out with the book Nasut Biti, King in Ancient Egypt or King in Ancient Africa or something like that. Because I have a copy of that book and he also talks about this. So that's where, for you scholarly niggas, you know what I'm saying, if you want that. So making it rain going all the way back to the ritual flooding of the Nile in the Nile Valley civilization. But this fertility cult or this fertility thing is now mainly preserved in the strip club and strip culture and is focused on dollars rather than actual rain. This is mitochondrial. And to seal it for your ass, see the document or the article or the essay, Rain-Making Bacteria by Jay Hardy. It's in this document that you can download from this video. And I even made if you follow me on Instagram, I made a post about it on my Instagram. Rain-making bacteria. What is your mitochondria? A bacteria. Ancient bacteria. It's archaea. Look up archaea. It'll be in this document. Archaea. It's said to be the oldest unicellular or single cell organism on this fucking planet. And the bacteria is the reason that the shit rains here. And it's an intricate process. You got to read the document. The bacteria makes it rain. So if your model for your life is the mitochondria, guess what you're doing in the strip club, young sister? Guess what you're doing, young love? You in the strip club making it rain. Because in the strip club is our leftover fertility rights in that strip club. And I've said this before in some of my videos and some of my IG lives. I've talked about this. So while niggas was in the church, you had the strip club over here with our fertility rights. So our fertility rights never escaped. It never went anywhere. It just went into the strip club. And that whole thing is not even just at the strip club, but just, you know, anywhere where ass is being shaken. You know what I'm saying? Parties. You know what I'm saying? Porno. You know what I mean? That's our fertility. You're doing that shit to petition the lords and the gods or the deities or the rain in the sky to bring you things to you. The mitochondria vibrate, shake, and weave to bring in light. And in doing so, they give off heat. That heat powers your organism, your biosystem. So it's never wrong with a woman shaking her ass. I mean, social media now provides, you know, this whole validation and attention thing where now it's like, you know, I'm waiting for this, you know, this prudent chick on the Instagram. I'm waiting for her to be like, yo, I'm going to have my wild out point where she just out of nowhere starts showing her ass or her titties. Just eventual. It's just this, you know, wholesome girl. You know, she at home. She not doing all this crazy shit that these other chicks doing. But then out of nowhere, she starts showing her titties on the Instagram. I'm like, oh, sister. Ooh. My gorgeous sister, she done showed her ass on this Instagram today. Ooh, Her number of likes went from 20 to fucking 200 over a span of a day. God damn. All she had to do was show a little titty. Now she an Instagram model, taking all the Fashion Nova clothes and being a model for that on the Explore page on Instagram and making money. Going to Dubai. I hope you ain't getting shitted on. That's how that shit works. This is mitochondrial. This is right here in everybody's cells of their body right now. This is what mitochondria is doing. Especially if your mitochondria is not on its maximum level. See, this is what your mitochondria does when it's not in tune with its real purpose. Because imagine if you could shake your ass to make it rain. What else can you shake your ass and do? Or just dancing in itself. Not even just shaking the ass, but the dancing itself. You ever heard of the sacred Native American dancing to making it rain? Where do you think that comes from? It comes from your microbiology. And then I have here that mitochondria is considered bacteria in the endosymbiosis theory by a biologist, Lynn Margulis. I talked about her earlier. Author of Microcosmos, a book referenced in this book here. So Judy K. King references the book she references the book Microcosmos on page 47 of this book. So you can go look at that when you get the book or if you have the book. Then we get into the whole thing about the Rain Queen. A lot of y'all niggas don't know about the Rain Queen. The Majaji. The Majaji, or the Rain Queen, is the hereditary queen of Balobedu, a people of the Limpopo province of South Africa. The succession to the position of Rain Queen is matrilineal, mitochondrial, so her eldest daughter is the heir, and the males are not entitled to inherit the throne at all. That's that Mother Talzin shit in Star Wars, where it's like the men have no position of power, I guess. Which that shit is kind of imbalanced. This is what, see, y'all need that fucking ebb and flow of shit. Like, if you have matriarchy, that shit is going to swing back into patriarchy. Then it's going to swing. It keeps swinging back and forth over the centuries. You're not going to have one permanently forever. It's going to keep swinging back. So you have patriarchy now, then it goes back to matriarchy, then it goes back to it's going to keep swinging. This is the fucking law of rhythm, nigga. My sweet sister, this is the law of rhythm. So you're not going to be patriarchal forever. You're not going to be matriarchal forever. It doesn't happen that way, obviously. So for all you sisters out, see, the ones that I still love, but I don't like, are the feminists. And you can be a overt feminist and you can be a covert one. It's a lot of covert ones out here, especially they be looking at my page a lot on Instagram. It's a lot of you covert feminists. Like, you're not a part of no organization, but you still have feminists ways about yourself. And it's usually to bash or to go against the black man. Because a lot of you feminists don't do this to the white guy or the Caucasian dude. You don't do that to him, but you do it to niggas like me. And I don't like that. Because I love you. We don't always see the eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? I got cheated on before. You know what I mean? Got into arguments and cussing and all that shit and depreciating each other. That don't mean I don't love you. It's just we argue and we fight. But for you to go into your feminist bag to bash me is unforgivable, sweetheart. And I don't see how you can become a feminist after I done came with this shit. We almost at 3 hours. You better love me and my masculinity now. I got the God rod. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean. It's like, nah. But anyway, let's get back to this because we almost done. The Rain Queen. The Rain Queen is believed to have special powers, including the ability to control the clouds and the rainfall. So if you thought I was lying about the fertility rights of shaking your ass, nigga, they got a whole fucking culture down there in South Africa of the Rain Queen. She reigns supreme. She's the sorceress supreme. And guess where her power is? Based on her fucking appellation of being the Rain Queen. She manipulates the weather. Who do we know in any of this shit comic books that controls the weather? I'll give you a hint. She dark skinned and got white hair. Storm. Storm is a rain queen. They even got the idea of Storm from this rain queen concept. Now, I don't see Storm shaking her ass, but that's a part of it. So I guess they ain't gonna show that in the X-Men shit, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know what I'm saying, it's whitewash for, you know. The only reason they got Storm there is because white men in their fetish for black women, black African women. That's the only reason Storm is in that story. But anyway, so Storm from X-Men is a perfect example of this Rain Queen and this mitochondrial fertility cult of them dancing and doing this stuff to affect the weather. But for the strip club, it's dollars now. It's not rain droplets. It's dollars. So when you're shaking your ass, why would you be shaking your ass in a strip club? To get a ballers throwing that money at you. That's ancient. That's ancient shit. Ancient. It's going on in the cells of your body right now. I make it rain on them hoes. And this is why you need to understand this. Let me break your heart, sister. Let me break your heart. I'm sorry to break your heart right now, but that SWV song, SWV meaning Sisters with Voices, you know who I'm talking about, the black R&B group, black women. That song, Rain on Me, is a song about getting nutted on. Argue with me if you want to. It's a song about getting skeeted on. And it's ancient. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You don't like nut? You don't like sperm? That's how you become a mother. How else? I mean, you ain't doing the parenthegenesis. I didn't see you out there in the sun with your coochie out to have the sun impregnate you. Because you know the sun is always a masculine principle, right? I didn't see you out there doing that. So the only way you can become a mother is if nut is busted by a man. One of the best ways for you to start producing milk in your breast is by a sperm hitting your egg, getting attached to your uterine wall, and then a baby coming forth, and then the milk comes. So I don't know how feminist you are, but don't disregard the dick. Come on, shorty, sweet sister. Don't throw the dick away. Don't disregard the dick principle, the yang. Come on now. Yeah, that SWV song, you heard it from Alex Will 64. That's me. The Rain on Me song is about getting nutted on. Now, even going beyond the song, why would you do a dance and all that shit for just for a man to you know what I'm saying, to come or to bust a nut? Because that brings life. It's the sun energy. So what I'm thinking is, yes, black women were the first humans on this earth. That's what I know. But there was some point where what we are as men, we were not physical. We became physical over time. The whole masculine principle was never physical. And is not now. We became that way. And this is why every physical body here has the black mitochondria in it to some extent. And then you have some artificial ones perhaps in, you know, certain people. I ain't going to say their name. But you get what I'm saying? Because my whole thing is when I bust a nut, I'm giving light. It's an exhalation process. I said this before. Inhalation is female. Exhalation is male. So when you inhale, you did a feminine act. When you exhale, you did a masculine act. So by me busting that nut like that, That's light. That's sun. That's solar shit. So when the solar meets the moon egg in that woman's body, you got conception. So let me keep continuing. Mitochondria embody the very idea of sexuality. They perform the darkest forms of it in the cells of your body. There's a book you want to get, Power, Sex, and Suicide, Mitochondria and the Meaning of Life by Nick Lane. So it'll be in this document. And like I just told you earlier, bacteria are very sexual creatures. They always having sex. HGT, horizontal gene transfer. So the whole thing of you having sex and preventing pregnancy, that model of behavior is based on these bacteria. Mitochondria included in that. Because when two bacteria come together, they're not always they're rarely producing a whole new bacteria. They're exchanging genes between them. Because that's what you do when you're having sex anyway. Whether the woman gets pregnant or not. You're exchanging genes. You're exchanging spiritual information. Spirit ties, soul ties. Remember that shit? They told you that in Christianity. That shit has a genetic, biological, or microbiological basis. Black women are the very embodiment and originators or hotspots of mitochondria in behavior, although some black men and other ethnicities and races also embody the behavior to a lesser degree. So again, I can be mitochondrial too. And there's no stop of me doing it. The fact that you didn't notice, if you the mitochondrial embodiment as a black woman, but I'm coming to you about this knowledge on it and you didn't have it before me, that tells you that you aren't the only one that this shit affects or that this shit deals with. It does deal with me. It deals with you in the sense that you're the original one dealing with it, if you get my drift. So when you see mitochondria, you should be seeing that black woman. And when you see those midichlorians in Star Wars, get your ass into Star Wars, you're seeing the black woman and her powers. A black woman, hold on. Okay, I know where I'm at. Hold on. This shit almost at 3 hours. I told you this shit gonna be long. A black woman stereotyped as angry, like the whole angry black woman stereotype. I think that shit came about like the 90s or something like that. That's really based on the mitochondria having the heat and calorie emitted. So that's where that comes from. So if you coming across a woman that's ornery, she has an attitude. Remember I was talking about attitude earlier, and she's angry and all that. That's really her modeling her behavior after these mitochondria. The mitochondria, their whole thing is heat. When they convert sugars or they convert oxygen, they convert anything they're metabolizing, anything they're converting, it gives off heat. The reason that you have a 9.86 temperature in Fahrenheit, or I think it's 37 degrees Celsius, the reason you have that is because of a stasis of your mitochondria's metabolic function. Meaning that your temperature is based on your metabolic functions that your mitochondria are doing. You see what I mean? They deal with heat. That's what they give off. And we know how anger and heat is kind of like the same thing. They're matched up. When I say I'm heated, nigga, I'm angry. I'm hot with anger. That whole metaphor of being hot with anger. This comes from mitochondria and their heat. Let's keep going. The stereotype of being strong and independent. That's the mitochondria again, because again, they are the powerhouses. You see all these scientific publications and journals talking about mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell. So when you see black women doing all that power stuff with the dancing and the sex and all that stuff, it's the mitochondria that they're modeled after, the proteins in particular. So the whole thing about the feminist focus on matriarchy, that also goes into that mitochondria thing. And here's another thing, being overly sexualized and worshipped in non-black cultures. So the whole Hottentot, Sarah Bartman thing, and then on the other end of the spectrum, the Black Madonna. You know, I don't think if you conscious enough, you've probably seen that post on Facebook or Instagram where they show the Pope or one of those Vatican priests worshiping the Black Madonna and Child. Mitochondria. And then the whole thing of the Hottentot woman with the big ass and the, because women, that's what we usually associate black women with, right? They usually have a fat, juicy, voluptuous ass. Yeah, they do. Hips and all. And be getting that shit at earlier and earlier ages. When was the first time you started to blossom, my love? What was it, 13, 12, 11? And you saw men started saying, oh, I like you, just out of nowhere. As soon as your breast came in. You know what I'm saying? Niggas. You know what I mean? Men. And the point of that is the fact that, again, these mitochondria are very sexual. They deal with sex, money, murder, birth, life, death. So even without you being able to control it, the black woman is always giving off sexual energy. She is the embodiment of sex. Now, I don't like how this plays out when you're dealing with white men and men of other races, because then they fetishize you. You know what I'm saying? That whole fetish thing. You know what I'm saying? They don't love you. So I don't see why you sisters is dealing with these cracker men. I don't know why. And then you had Issa Rae telling y'all to get with these Koreans, and these Koreans is beating your ass in the whole the Yaki store with the weave and whatever. They're fetishizing you. You know what I'm saying? And then there was something about, you know, in slavery, like how that black woman was treated. You know what I'm saying? And how, you know, these Caucasoids would be like, oh, well, she was asking for sex. She wanted me to, you know what I'm saying, try to justify the raping of you and the molestation of you and all that shit. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you're giving off this energy. You're mitochondrial. That doesn't justify them doing that to you, but you have to understand, you are the embodiment of this sexual energy. Why you think these Caucasoid women are sitting here getting these ash injections, these lip injections? They're wearing weave now. They're getting braids. They're talking like, you know, they from the hood now. Remember that chick on Instagram, Whoa Vicky? She's a prime example of that. And then the Rachel Dolezal. They envy your sexual prowess, your sexual energy. And then black men to an extent too. But definitely you, because you are more of the mitochondria than anybody else. The sexual power is in your hands, literally, as a black woman. So this goes back to my thing of talking about psychology. I know your behavior more based on me studying this protein or these bacteria. This is how I know you more than trying to look at some Caucasoids framework of psychology and how the mind works. No, fuck that. We got your model right here. These mitochondrial proteins with the weave. But do keep your weave up. You know what I'm saying? Don't be having the stink weave. Don't, sister, don't do that. If you're going to keep your weave fresh. You know what I'm saying? And stop letting these stylists pull on your follicles. Because I've seen, you know, my mom, you know, she does her shit tight too. But she calmed down on that because of, you know what I'm saying, what it does to the scalp or whatever. Because I told you that my mom was into she was a cosmetologist and all that. She did hair on the regular. So, yes, what I'm saying is that mitochondrial behavior is the basis for strip club culture, fertility rights, genetic engineering, because they control epigenetic regulation networks in your body, the mitochondria do, the holding and application of biopower by the elite. So they have a version of that with the, you know, the elite, the, you know, motherfuckers that got the money and all that, all the old money and the wealth, and whoever runs the fucking US or whatever, or whoever runs the colonization, they have that biopower. And the distinct behaviors in black women, mitochondrial behavior. The quintessential bitch is Oprah. She's a prime example of a mitochondrial embodiment. The fact that she's a billionaire and she has that, she's always wearing weave. I haven't seen Oprah in her natural hair ever. Maybe when she was Celie in Color Purple or something like that. Or when she was, I forgot the name. This black people gonna hate me now. I forgot Oprah's name in the Maypo, was it? You know what I'm saying? Or when she was in that spooky ass movie, Beloved. That movie spooky as fuck. You think slasher movies with Jason and dream chasing movies with Freddy Krueger and fucking clowns from outer space? No, that Beloved movie spooked me the fuck out the first time I seen it. That shit spooked me out. Not scared. It spooked me. I don't even want to watch it anymore. I'm going to watch it one day again, but, the movie Beloved with Thandie Newton as that Slade that came back and, and Oprah as the, it had Danny Glover in it, which was basically a Color Purple Part 2. You know what I mean? Oprah, like I said, Oprah is the embodiment of the mitochondria, yo. You know what I'm saying? All that money, all that power, you know what I'm saying? All that's her, all day. That's why I need to say here that not all black women are, there's gradients, there's degrees. So I would put Oprah as very mitochondrial. Not all black women are that mitochondrial. You got black women out here acting like white women, so they're not on that level. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about black women that are more like Oprah and then when you get into the occult side of it, you're talking about Marie Laveau, the Rain Queens from South Africa. Then you're getting into that. But as far as like a commercial or a mainstream example, Oprah. I will go even further to say mitochondrial activity is the internal predictive model for the occult itself. Every occult thing you're doing as an occultist, if you are that, or any spiritual or magical, it, like the dark side of it, so-called, like the necromancy, the obia, the covens and all that, that is all based on mitochondrial activity. It's modeled after what those mitochondrial proteins are doing. Through and through, balls to bone. And then for anybody that's into astrology, mitochondria are represented by Pluto, Scorpio, and the 8th house in astrology. So wherever your Pluto is at, that's where your mitochondria in your body is focused on, or the where your birth, life, death energy that they control and manage is focused on. So 2nd house, 3rd house, 8th house, 10th house, 11th house. So I have my Pluto in the 8th. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're an astrologer, you know what the fuck that means. And then mitochondria are the microbial embodiment of Obai, witchcraft, brujeria, etc., etc. View each mitochondrial bacterial unit as an ancestral coven power plant, and each mitochondrial protein as a coven member. So you want to increase your coven entry or increase your coven familiarity and increase your coven quantity in the cells of your body. That's the goal here. Side note, and this is a cool side note because I like looking at it, and I ain't gonna be ashamed to say that I like seeing it when I see it. Side note, the butterfly, an evolutionary model for human beings. You want to check out my video series, Star Larvae Hypothesis, how I explain how the whole process of the caterpillar becoming the butterfly mirrors our concept of humans becoming stars, because you are the larvae of a star. You're supposed to be developing into a star. That's your evolutionary path as a human being. The butterfly, an evolutionary model for human beings, is often tattooed on the buttocks of strippers and sex workers. And it is a clear evolutionary message of the mitochondria. Remember, it was I who told you this shit. I've said this before. When you see them strippers with the butterfly wings on their booty, You know what I'm saying? On their badonkadon, you know what I mean? On their cheeks or whatever. That is a sign of the mitochondria. Because the mitochondria are supposed to be involved in your evolution. We're going to get to that part. Because we towards the end of this. It's only 10 pages. I'm on the 9th. We're going to get to that part. But the butterfly, an evolutionary model for human beings. So the fact that you have this stripper in the club and she's throwing her ass all over the pole and she's dancing on another girl, they kissing, looking at each other nipples and shit, and she's shaking, she's twerking that ass, and it has the butterfly wings on each cheek. She don't even fucking know. Hold on. She don't even know why she really has that tattoo there. She thinks she got that tattoo put on her ass on her own volition or because she's seen somebody else do it. Nah. The deeper or more, the hyperdepthical reason for that is because she's a representative, knowingly or unknowingly, of the mitochondria. And then I'm telling you, I put the link here for the star larvae hypothesis. So consider these keywords in relation to one another. I'm about to list them out. Let me break them down for you. Obia, then obia with the H. So obia, O-B-E-A, which means woman in Akan. And then you have obia with the H. So O-B-E-A-H, obia. Obayi, ob, obion, morai, mitochondria, thread, weave, loom, threads of destiny or fate, tantra, snakes and serpents, spinner, determiner, cutter, powerhouse of the cell. I need you to meditate on them words together when you get a chance, sweetheart. Meditate on all these words. It's in the document. So then, as established in my ebook, Occult Microbiology 101, a timeline of spirogenetic posts, which you'll be able to download, fucking with me, you'll be able to get that for free. The purpose of human, animal, and vegetational bodies is analogous to proteins and other biomacromolecules in the body. If Earth is analogous to a cell, and if viral capsids are analogous to stars. So again, going back to eternal predictive model, not just mitochondrial proteins. We talk about proteins in the whole body, hormones, enzymes. You got proteins in the nucleus, all this stuff. They are the internal predictive models for our behavior, our human behavior, animal behavior, and even vegetable behavior or vegetational behavior. The trees is what I'm talking about too. So the reason you do anything you do any second of the day, any behavior, anything you say, anything you do, anything you engage in, anything you're associated with is based on these proteins, the way they behave, the way they do things, the way they move. That's the internal proteins are the internal predictive model for human, animal, and vegetational behavior. Way better than whatever psychological framework you're dealing with. I'm telling you. And it was in this Balls of Fire book by Judy K. King. She had it in her book. So our dreams via a quantum state reduction consist of our own proteins in the body as a variety of characters in holographic format. So your proteins are not merely physical. They have a spirit body. They are spiritual. They have an electrical, bioelectric current running through them. You can read the book by Gilbert Ling, is in the Association Induction Hypothesis by Gilbert Ling. And he shows you how each protein in your body has an electrical current running through it. And the way that electrical current is running through that protein and the shape of the protein determines what the protein does in your body. So preceding the protein is an intellectual, intelligent thing occupying the body of the protein. You think I'm fucking with you? Go study the science of bio-nanotechnology. The whole nanotechnological thing is them using these nano-sized robots and sending electrical current through them to do activities in your body. They're making that a medicine. This is a hot thing in the medicine industry, the health industry. They're making these tiny robots, the same size as your proteins, that go into your body and perform certain actions and functions. So you want to sit here and try to nitpick my work, or you want to sit here and think I'm lying or I ain't giving you accurate information, my nigga, go study that shit with the nanotechnology. Because a nanobot or a nanoparticle is following the same pattern or following the same work that your protein does in your body. It's the same size as the proteins. Your proteins are nanoscale entities. And there's even theories that suggest that is the protein that precedes the cell, which the cell precedes the multicellular organism that you and I are today. So finally, as we get to the close here, and I have this in bold letters and it's out and it's underlined, I, Alexander Will 64, Alex Will 64, I am finally putting forth that the ultimate reason for mitochondria having an endosymbiotic relationship with multicellular organisms in their cells, such as humans, is to assist in the metabolic evolution of the organisms. Therefore, the very idea of sex is a component of the mechanism of evolution. So, in other words, my brother, my sister, the highest purpose and reason that the mitochondria take up living space in your cells is to see you evolve into your final form. Star larvae hypothesis all day. They are here to assist you in your evolution. They are here for your metabolic change from human to star level creature, whatever that looks like. They're here to assist you in that. By revving up the metabolism, that's how you do it. Stop letting niggas come around you thinking they're advanced and their metabolism is on the same level as yours. They may be smarter than you, or have more intelligence, or have more information, but metabolically speaking, they're on your level. And because they're not changing it or going through any type of thing with the mitochondria to make those metabolic shifts, their asses is on your level. Again, they just may have more information than you, or, you know, they do more spiritual stuff. That's it. They're not changed in no shape or form. In fact, there's only knowledge you're going to get based on you fucking changing metabolically. You're not going to get certain information and knowledge if you're not shifting metabolically. And I dare any of you out there watching this or get a whiff of this shit to challenge me or challenge me on it. I dare you. I double, triple dog, Snoop Doggy Dog dare you, motherfucker. Let me repeat myself. This is how I know who degree you're at. You're going to sit here and talk about degrees of knowledge and not place it with degrees of heat. You missed the whole fuck. You missing shit, bro. Sis, you missed it. They gave you the motherfucking key right there. You have heat degrees and knowledge degrees. Why would they be separate? We'll touch on it in another video. I just wanted to put that. Welcome to Actual Alchemy. I actually put that in the document. Welcome to Actual Alchemy. So welcome to Actual Alchemy. Welcome to Actual Practical Alchemy. From a great to apply nigga, not a good to know nigga. We established that in the beginning of the video. Use the black side of the force. May the black force be with you always. And this was also my attempt to get you into Star Wars. So again, you into that dark shit. This is the shit you want to get. And you know to get this right here. You know to fuck with this one. I'm selling this one as an ebook on my page or whatever. So check me out with that one. So, like I said, I have the Dream Genome Thesis, Occult Microbiology 101, my online courses. I just did a video previously about emotional baggage claim and inner work suite. Those courses that I have on, your inner work and doing your emotional baggage and all that stuff. A whole course where you can print out a workbook to help you. So it's practical. It's a great to apply or great to practice type of thing. Not just good to know. It's great to practice. So again, that's the end of this shit. We done got to 3 hours and 20 minutes. I hope you had fun, especially you sisters out there. Mwah. Mwah. Hello, baby. Did you miss me? You know what I'm saying? Because the Mortal Kombat came out with the Kano. The Kano was funny, but I still like the Kano from 1995 Mortal Kombat because he had the best lines and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because when he was about to fight Sonya Blade, he was like, mwah. Hello, baby. Did you miss me? So, for you sisters out there, you know what I'm saying? So, again, my name is Alex Will 64. It's been great. It's been lovely. I'm feeling good, you know what I'm saying? I'm drinking my coconut limeade. It has no proteins. It has no carbohydrates. And it has octane MCT oil infused in it. Mitochondria, they love me for this. We in love now. And you know what people do when they in love.